beautifully air-conditioned room. You're welcome to stay till we're done with the meeting to enjoy that. So I will call the meeting of Tuesday, August 26, 2025 to order at 6 p.m. And to begin the meeting, I'll ask for any additions to I believe we have an addition to the agenda, and then we'll have the adoption of the agenda. Amanda?
Thank you. Just on the agenda that is up on online, we're adding to 3.1, we'll call it RCMP Multi-Year Financial Plan and First Quarter Report. Or no, not 3.1, that can stay the same. And then 3.3 would be RCMP First Quarterly Report.
Great. Yeah, so is that the only amendment you have, Amanda?
From me, yeah.
Yeah, you don't have any other. Go ahead.
I move that council adopt the agenda as amended.
I'll call the vote. All in favor? That's carried. Right, and we have with us tonight Staff Sergeant Detective Staff Stephen Brown and Corporal Shane O'Neill is with Staff Sergeant Brown tonight. And we'll be presenting, I believe we have it up. Do we have it on the screen? Austin, to follow along with the Q1 financial report. They came, our attachment members came very prepared. We appreciate that. And we'll also be entertaining questions about the multi-year capital plan on their city's behalf. That's their information there, and we'll speak to that as well. So you have the floor. I think you know.
Good.
Your mic is on already.
I'm just going to go over the Q1 municipal policing report first. Just give you some of the highlights from the quarter one. As far as mental health and domestic violence, we've been kind of slow on this year, on this quarter. We've had one domestic violence call in the Didsbury area. We've responded to 15 mental health calls, with 3 of those being apprehensions. Our drug enforcement is kind of down, I guess, if you will, because we don't have any drug enforcement items at this time. We are trying to increase our visibility in the community. We have had members over the summer do foot patrols in the downtown area. I'm not sure if the people have seen that, but we've had definitely people wearing the Stetson and walking around in the summer as well. A couple of these pages I'm just going to briefly go over. They relate more to the Carstairs. So a couple of things that we have done this year is our members have been attending the high school and Ross Ford to participate in General Assembly and also serving hot lunch for the schools. We've also been to West Glen School serving hot lunch. We've also participated in the annual Didsbury Car Show. And we've also had one of the classes at the high school this year was doing law or criminal law, and we've had 2 of our members present on that. They also did a forensic class with the high school, so our members attended and did that as well at the high school. We also hosted a field trip for grade 8 students with the local CPOs as well. And we also did a school field trip with the grade 7 students as well. As far as our numbers for municipal members, we have 4 positions. Though all 4 positions are filled, we have 3 currently working, and we have 1 on special leave, whether that be maternity leave or long-term sick leave. Are you going to go over the financials?
No.
Okay. Then crime stats, the last page. As you can see, Didsbury, the municipal side, is down for all of our calls. In total, we are down 14.2%. Property crimes down 7.8%. Persons crimes down 3.2% as well. So that's the end of my presentation. Do you have any questions on that Q1 report?
Questions? Okay, I'm pleasantly impressed. Well, I'm always impressed when you do the RCMP quarterly reports, but crime stats being down, drug enforcement being easy. That's probably not the right term.
Well, it's
So,
yeah.
but being obviously drug enforcement being effective, I guess that's a better word.
Yep.
And something else. The interaction with schools, and I know there's a few council members that have supported that community liaison position for a long time, and someday we hope to see that in our community for sure. And it's just such a positive impact on the students and the right ages, and you're hitting the grade 7s and 8s in high school. I think that's fantastic and speaks a lot to the youth about the good examples we have in our detachment here who do go and mix and mingle and serve lunches. So thank you for that. And thank you for keeping the crime down. And I just want to ask a question. And I don't remember if I asked this last year or what the answer was last year, but is that more common in the summer during these periods, during Q1, or that's April to June, right? So half spring, half summer, is that a common trend?
I've been seeing over the last 4 years, definitely crime has been decreasing in Didsbury. It's unusual for us to have the summer months to be slower as far as policing goes, but Didsbury seems to be kind of bucking the trend, if you will, and being more of a safer community right now. So.
That's good to hear. Go ahead.
So maybe don't give all the credit to Didsbury. I think it's going back to the visibility. You touched on the fact that you were trying to be more visible, and I just wanted to comment that I've heard that from the community that they're seeing more presence out there, and the comments have been very positive. So thank you very much for that effort.
Thank you, Mayor. I also echo the same response. I appreciate the foot patrols and the vehicle patrols that I've seen, and shows the presence of our RCMP, who is very important to me. And also echoing our mayor's comments about the schools. Our youth are so important, and the fact that the members are using their time to inform them and show them that police officers are their buddies. They're there for them, and it's so important to do that to the young people in our town. So thank you for that.
I don't see any other questions for the Q1 report, so thank you for that. Oh, you didn't have any. Go ahead.
I just wanted to say I appreciated you members being at the show and time and walking around. That was really nice to see, and it was nice to see them so involved in a community event.
All right, so I think we have the multi-year financial plan up next, and Steve, if you have, Sergeant Brown, if you have anything to reference to that or anything, I'm pretty thorough, so I don't really have anything to add, any comments you might have.
No, again, you've had the report. Again, I think we've had about 3 drafts on this back and forth, but ultimately it's a report generated by our division resource people up in Edmonton. The only input that we would have at a local stance, I guess, would be any additional forecast for resource increase over the projected term. of 5 years. But as we all know, we revisit this on a yearly basis. So again, depending on the status of the town in the next 24 to 36 months, it could change again. But as projected right now, we don't have any additional resource requests other than what's already been asked in the past. So everything else is, like I said, generated by division in terms of projected costs, planning in terms of what we had mentioned before, in terms of our uniform kit changes, vehicle changes, our enforcement options, or use of force options, changes to that equipment, so on and so forth. But if you have questions related to that, I can certainly answer them, but the report itself is pretty straightforward.
And it's a lot of pages. It's really good.
That's
really impressed with
That's
it.
what we deal with.
Yeah, and there's so much more that is opening up to you, but we'll start here again for questions.
No questions, but as the mayor said, it's a big report filled with information, and thank you for preparing that.
Thank you very much. Assessor Brown, in the report, and I'm going to say it in our agenda, page 9, because that's just for my reference, it talks about the expectation for car spares and how that's going to affect the PPUSA numbers in the attachment. I'm wondering, it suggests that there's going to be a reduction in the numbers for PPSA, but is that going to be also reflected in the number of resources that are going to be assigned for car spares, and are they going to be out of this detachment?
Yes, the projection right now, or the planning, I guess, for the Carstairs sub-office is what I would call it, would fall under Disbury detachment. So it's not going to be a separate detachment as an entity onto its own. It would fall under the command of Disbury. So in terms of the reduction of PPSA, I would say it would be wise to anticipate some reduction in PPSA resources, only in terminology classification only. So we wouldn't lose those resources. They would be basically reclassified as a municipal officer rather than a provincial officer. So it would be more funding generated as in terms of, rather than actual body reduction.
Okay.
If that makes sense?
Yeah. Thank you.
My hope is that it would increase resources. That's what I've been driving the last 3 years. That when they do come online, whenever that may happen, hopefully sooner than later, is that it would increase our supplement for policing the detachment area, which was always my goal.
Thank you.
That's it.
That's it.
Thank you, Mayor. I just really appreciate the leadership that we've had of our detachment here, and it just demonstrates the commitment of your members to our community, and that's outstanding to me. In reference to the domestics, I'm familiar with that because 2 doors down from me is where that event happened. And there's only been 2 in our neighborhood in the last 30 years. So that demonstrates the control that our detachment has on our community. Very, very positive. So, and my friend, don't mess with my mounties, is the way I look at it. So, thanks again for the continued leadership in our community.
I mean, I would love to take credit for anything in reduction, in a reduction in domestic violence. But again, it's such an unpredictable occurrence. You obviously you can't anticipate where it's going to occur. You can't, or you don't understand or are aware of people's personal circumstance. But we address it obviously at the time, and the RCMP and municipal forces across the province have put considerable effort over the last decade in terms of educating the public on domestic violence and providing those support systems or making them available to people when they're in crisis and need that bit of information to help them along the way. So we see that starting to pay off, so to speak. So that's a contributing factor why we would see a reduction in those resources, or those numbers, sorry.
This is an aside, the response was almost instant. So this is really important to people to know that our members are on top of this kind of thing in any event. And I think they were there within like 3 minutes. It was amazing how quickly you guys respond to these things, which really makes me feel safe. So thanks again.
You're welcome.
Questions? All right. I'm interested in, I put my questions on pages, so page 15 talks about the budget 2024 of the Government of Canada. Now, it plans to reduce its office portfolio by 50%, so what does that mean? Maybe I should know what it means, but
Is that in terms of the federal government's?
it's workplace modernization is called in that section, and they're talking about accessibility audits, and it talks about the reduction in the office portfolio by 50%, maybe that.
Yeah, so that's in relation to Public Service of Canada and their direction to reduce public service,
Okay.
which is obviously a big component of our support staff federally, obviously provincially as well, because we have 3 public service personnel assigned to Didsbury Detachment. But in terms of how that would affect us, it wouldn't affect us in terms of the positions that we hold. But that's the overarching approach of the federal government right now, is to reduce the public service.
Sorry, I'll get to know. I guess have a comment on anybody listening, live stream, or anybody here. This is a great document. It's really thorough. It talks about all that the RCMP is doing across Canada and all the changes, the ways that the RCMP are adapting, and the technology and the well-being people, right down to the new uniforms and 3 different styles. Like it's a minor thing, but it shows how much is on the plate of the RCMP, and I know I'm thankful to have the RCMP here in our community and in our country. And I think one thing that they did talk about was changing. I'm sorry I might say this wrong because I didn't write it down. Changing I won't say it because I will say it wrong, so you mark it. I just made a note of it when I was, it was in the uniform and weapons section, and all the well-being models and the training requirements and general duties. So I'll catch up with the NSF once or Staff Sergeant when I find it, so you can ask that for me. But I apologize that I was all over the place on that, but I do want to say it was a long read and a good read, and I think everybody in our community should take a look at this and understand what the RCMP is doing in our country and in our community and in our province. So unless there's any other comments or questions, go ahead.
Thank you, Roger. My comment is to staff, to council rather than to Staff Sergeant Brown, is that one of the things that I see in this report is that a significant increase in expenses and anticipated increases in expenses. And the collective bargaining isn't settled, and retroactiveness that we've experienced in the past. It might be prudent for future council to look at what we're doing to prepare for that, because they're talking 7 to 10% increase in expenses, and so that's a fairly significant hit if we don't prepare for it ahead of time.
Your observation? Yeah, thank you for that. And I see nothing, no one else has a hand up, so once again, thank you for your presentations tonight and for keeping our community safe and for all you do. I also noticed the visibility, and That's a great thing for the safety standard of our community and for our residents. So under your leadership, Staff Sergeant, and your corporals as well. So appreciate your presence here, and we'll see, I guess, well, we don't know who we'll see here in a few months, but you'll see somebody.
That goes both ways.
What's that?
That goes both ways.
Yeah, right. Okay. Okay, so I will have a motion. But if you want to accept the Q1 report and the multi-year.
I would move to accept the RCMP quarterly report and to thank Staff Sergeant Brown for presenting to Council the 2026-2031 multi-year financial plan, and also thank you for your presentation and being here, continuing to efforts.
Yeah, we'll just add to thank Corporal Gina O'Neill as well. That wasn't on here, but let's just kind of do that so that, we had them both here doing the presentation.
I did not get to meet the corporal, so well.
Thanks.
All right, we'll call the vote. All in favor? And enjoy the rest of the evening. Unless you want to stay where it's cool.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
All right, we have item 4.1, July 8th, 2025, regular council meeting minutes. Go ahead.
Adjusting my summer holidays memory here, but I move the council adopt the July 8th, 2025 regular council meeting minutes as presented.
Any comments on those minutes, Deputy Mayor? Any comments over here? Okay, I'll call the vote. All in favor? That's carried. We have item 4.2, August 18th, 2025, special council meeting minutes. Motion?
I'll move to adopt the August 18, 2025 special council meeting minutes as presented.
Do you have any comments?
No.
Over here, any comments? All right, I'll call the vote on the August 18th SCM meeting minutes. All in favor? That's carried. And at this point in time, I will recess the regular council meeting at 6:23 p.m. and call, we're in item 5 of 5.1, call our public hearing on 5.1, land use amending bylaw 2025-14, redesignate from C3 to RC. I will call this meeting to order. And this public hearing is to consider land use amending bylaw 2025-14, which would redesignate 22 residential properties from C3 Commercial District Core to RC Residential Commercial District. Bylaw 2025-14 received first reading on July 8th, 2025. The chair, which is me, of the public meeting, has the right to limit the time taken by a person to 5 minutes, after which council may wish to ask questions to the person. All questions must be channeled through the chair of the hearing, and whoever the question is to, I'll acknowledge when you should answer. In accordance with the procedural bylaw, this public hearing is available through the Zoom link on the Town of Didsbury website. For those participating virtually, we ask that you please use the raise hand function when questions, comments are called for from the gallery. Those speaking are asked to please state their name, municipality of residence, and if they are speaking in favor or in opposition. So obviously, we also have people in the gallery, and when you come up to the speaking table, we'll ask again that you state your name, municipality of residence, and if you're in favor or opposition of the amendment. So we will start. There'll be opportunities for questions throughout this, and I'll call for the questions when the appropriate time comes. But right now, I will ask administration. Tracy Connolly and Leanne Godet, are you going to be up with us? No, just okay. Tracy Connolly, you'll present on this one, and are you going to sit at the speakers table or right there?
Through the chair, if it's okay, I can use this mic here at this
Okay.
desk.
And for those that aren't in the room, and even those that are, Tracy Connolly is our planner for the town of Didsbury.
Thank you, through the chair. So as you can see on the slide that starts on page 49, the applicant for this proposal is the town of Didsbury, and there is various landowners. Next slide, please.
It's glitching.
Oh, okay, no, that's fine. So once we get to the next slide, once technology catches up, this is just showing you roughly where the properties are within the central area of the town of Didsbury. As a bit of background information, at the regular council meeting of June 24th, 2025, council considered bylaw 2025-09 for an amendment to the C3 commercial district, which is C3 commercial district core. At the conclusion of that public hearing for that bylaw, council instructed administration to prepare a bylaw that would redesignate 22 residential addresses within the current C3 district to RC residential commercial district. So that is what this evening's bylaw is for consideration. Next slide, please. So here you can see all the red colored lots are what is currently zoned C3 commercial district core within this area. Next slide, please. So what we have highlighted here in brown, it's a little difficult to see here, but what that is showing you is which 22 addresses are being considered for this redesignation, the redesignation to RC district. Each of these 22 addresses were circulated, providing them information and notification of this public hearing. Administration did receive a few phone calls. Those residents were just seeking clarification on the process, wanting to know, what's going on, what impact does it have on our property, and how do we go forward. Once it was explained that this is a redesignation, taking their properties only from the current C3 district to be redesignated to RC district, they were quite happy with it. It meant that they can continue as they are today. Next slide, please. So in our municipal development plan, these properties are in the central core and entranceway policy area. Next slide, please. So in compliance with our municipal development plan, when we are considering this redesignation, the policy we're discussing is the promotion of the downtown core as a stable residential neighborhood by encouraging a variety of housing options that support mixed-use developments and live-work units. The RC district would allow for multiple types of dwellings, as well as a mixed-use proposal within these lots. So this proposal is in compliance with the MDP policy. Next slide, please. These properties are also within the Central Core Heritage Plan, and as noted on this slide here, these properties are within area number 1, which is the commercial core area for this area redevelopment plan. Next slide, please. So in compliance with that area redevelopment plan, it's saying that commercial and residential mixed-use areas may be allowed by the development authority. The commercial policies that commercial office and retail development are encouraged to locate within this area. This proposed redesignation would be in compliance with those policies. Next slide, please. So the residential district general purpose for RC district is to provide for a mix of residential and commercial uses intended to provide a transition between commercial and adjacent residential districts. New residential commercial development must connect to municipal sewer and water services if municipal services are within a right-of-way directly adjacent to the property, and existing residential commercial is authorized to continue to utilize on-site water and sewer systems. This redesignation would allow for that mixed use that is desirable within this area. The properties as they're located would be a transitional area between residential and the commercial districts. So there should be no conflicts or conflicting uses between the RC properties that we're considering tonight and the surrounding existing land uses. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Tracy. Is the applicant here? Oh, yeah, we are the applicant. But so we just spoke twice there then. Okay. Sorry. So then I'll take questions, but I'd like to remind council, your questions will be about the redesignation of 22 residential addresses within the current C3 district to RC, residential commercial, and administration satisfied with the proposed redesignation. So your comments stay in line with if it complies with the MDP, the Central Core Heritage Plan, the purpose of the land use district. We keep those questions targeted on opposition or in favor of this redesignation. So I'm going to start with, so if we keep our questions concise and I'm sure.
Yes, I'm in favor of this redesignation. We're putting them back to where they originally were, so this is important.
I have no question.
Thank you, Mayor. I have no question. I agree with the Deputy Mayor that this is the way it was, the way it should be.
And I agree as well. It's important that the flexibility remains so that they're not forced into commercial the way the previous iteration was.
Okay, so I have no questions up here at the table about the amendment to the bylaw. And having said that, though, I will certainly ask for any comments or questions from those present in the room tonight. If there is anyone that would like to speak in favor or opposition to this. And I don't see anyone moving. And Jocelyn, do we have anybody on line that would like to speak? Or speak in favor or opposition to this proposed amendment? Not at this time. Okay. And anything to add from administration?
Through the chair, nothing further. Thank you.
All right. No further questions from council. So hearing none, I declare that this public hearing is closed at 6:33 p.m. We now have item 5.2, a public hearing on land use amending bylaw 2025-15, redesignate from IS to R2, IS institutional to R2 residential district general. This bylaw 2025-15 received, I'm going to call this to order at 6:34 though, before I start talking. And so I will just repeat that now that we are called to order for this public hearing, it's to consider land use amending bylaw 2025-15, which would redesignate the property located at 2128 21st Avenue from IS institutional to R2 residential district general. This bylaw received first reading on July 8th, 2025. I will repeat that the chair of the public hearing has the right to limit the time taken by a person to 5 minutes, after which council may wish to ask questions of the person, and all questions channeled through the chair. And we have people in attendance in the gallery, but they're all, according to our procedural bylaw, the public hearing is available through Zoom and procedural bylaw and provincial legislation, that is, through the link on the Town of Disbury website. So if there's anyone participating virtually, we'll ask the person to please raise their hand function when questions or comments are called for from the Zoom participants. You'll be asked to state your name, municipality of residence, and if speaking in favor or in opposition. So at this point in time, I will hand it over again to Tracy Connolly, our Town of Disbury planner, to present the proposed amendment.
Thank you, through the chair. So as we can see here, this application is, the applicant as well as the landowner is the Town of Disbury. We do currently own the property. Next slide, please. So we're just looking, this is sort of more central to the town, but more to the west within the town. Next slide, please. So this just shows you exactly where the property is. It's that little property there. As some background for this proposal, Council recently instructed administration to offer for sale this property in compliance with our policy COUN 011-24, sale, acquisition, and expropriation of land policy. Administration was also instructed to initiate the process to redesignate this property to an appropriate residential land use district. So that is the consideration this evening, is to redesignate it from its current institutional district to a residential district. Next slide, please. So we're here in the central core entranceway policy area, once again, of the municipal development plan. Next slide, please. So in compliance with our MVP, we're looking at the policy to promote adaptive reuse of brownfield and other vacant property, vacant buildings or sites by encouraging their transition to accommodate a diversity of new housing options when applicable. So as we know, this property is undeveloped. It's certainly something that could be redevelopment. So the proposal to redesignate it to a residential district would allow this parcel to become a parcel for residential use and would fit within the residential community within this area. Next slide, please. We're also within our Central Core Heritage Plan, and as I've noted here on this slide, this is in the residential neighborhood area within that area redevelopment plan. Next slide, please. So, as I've indicated, the character area being residential policies, and this proposal will comply with it becoming a residential use as it moves forward. Next slide, please. This property was also advertised in, it was provided to 5 adjacent landowners as a circulation process. It was also posted on our website starting on July 11th. Notification of the public hearing was also advertised on the town website, or circulated July 11th and put on the website starting July 29th and in the local newspaper starting on August 5th. No responses or concerns were received in relationship to this proposal. So administration is satisfied that the proposed redesignation complies with the MVP, the Central Core Heritage Plan, and the purpose of the land use district. And if council is satisfied with the public hearing, administration is recommending that council grant second and third reading to this bylaw during the bylaw and policies portion of this agenda. And that concludes my presentation.
Thank you for that. And we're redesignating this again. So I'm just clarifying my mind. I'm sorry. Because I know it's been for sale. And but we're getting ahead of it, so thanks. And so then I will ask if council has any questions, and I'll start far right here.
No questions.
No questions? And if we can keep our questions to opposition or in favor of the proposed amendment.
No questions.
I think our planner presents everything so well that we have no questions. So thanks for that. And I will then open the questions from the gallery. Anyone in the gallery that wants to speak to this? And I see none. And is there anyone on Zoom that would like to speak to this amendment? No. All right, so I'm going to ask then if there's anything to add to Tracy Connolly.
Through the chair, no, I have no further comments, thank
All
you.
right. To council, do you have enough information to proceed to the question during the bylaw section? So hearing no more questions, I will declare this public hearing closed at 6:40 p.m. And I will now call to order item 5.3, Land Use Amending Bylaw 2025-16, redesignate from R2 to DC, which is direct control district. And did I say the time I called the story? Okay. I've got 3 sheets going and I'm writing on different ones. So our public hearing is to consider land use amending bylaw 2025-16, which would redesignate the properties of 2101, 2105, and 2109 19th Avenue, the site of the former fire hall, from R2 Residential District General to DC Direct Control District. This bylaw 2025-16 received first reading on July 8th, 2025. And I will have to say again that the chair of the public hearing has the right to limit time taken by people speaking to 5 minutes. So far, we don't have a problem with that. And council will ask questions, questions channeled through the chair, and then anyone in the gallery that would like to speak or via Zoom will take questions or comments in favor or opposition of this amendment. So I will now turn it over to administration, Tracy Connolly, Town of Disbury Planner.
Thank you, through the chair. So as with the previous proposal that was discussed, the applicant and the landowner is the Town of Didsbury for this redesignation proposal. Next slide, please. So as we can see here, it's more towards the central portion of the town. Next slide, please. So here, very specifically, you're seeing those 3 lots. It is to the west of the central core area, and within, it's surrounded by some residential properties. Next slide, please. So we're once again within the central core policy areas of our municipal development plan as identified on this slide. Next slide, please. So the policies that were reviewed for this is our economic development policies to foster a vibrant, diverse, inclusive, resilient, and sustainable economic growth that provides opportunities for prosperity and advancement for all, while also safeguarding the natural environment and enhancing the overall quality of life and well-being of the community. The redesignation of this property would allow for the redevelopment of the property in this location. Central Core and Entranceway also talks about downtown Didsbury will remain the retail, office, and entertainment heart and center of the town. This proposal for a redesignation to direct control should not detract from the unique character within the neighborhood in this area. Next slide, please. So this redesignation was also circulated to adjacent landowners. Notification of the public hearing was also advertised on the town website starting July 29th and in the local paper starting August 5th. No responses, concerns, or phone calls were received in relationship to this proposal. So a direct control district, our general purpose within our land use bylaw, indicates to provide for developments that, due to unique characteristics, innovative ideas, or unusual site constraints and/or require specific regulations unavailable in other districts. Additional regulations under direct control or uses allowed shall be at the discretion of council. All development regulations shall be at the discretion of council, and this district shall not be in substitution for any other district that could be used to achieve the same objective, either with or without relaxations of this bylaw, or to regulate matters typically addressed through development permit approval conditions. So the redesignation consideration from the existing district to direct control would allow for a unique development within this property. And that concludes this presentation.
Right. Thank you for that. Any questions? No questions. All right, so hearing no questions from council, I will offer comments, questions from the gallery. If anyone's here to speak to in favor or in opposition. And seeing nobody raised to the speaker's desk, I will go to see if anyone's on Zoom. And we wouldn't know how fast they raised their hand there. All right, so no questions, no comments. So we appreciate the attendance to listen in on the public hearings. And are there any additional comments from council? Administration?
Through the chair, no further comments, thank you.
All right, so then hearing no further questions or comments, I will declare this public hearing closed at 6:46 p.m. And we'll deal with the motions in the bylaw section. Hi, Amanda. Yes.
Sorry to interrupt, Mayor Hunter. We missed item 3.2, the motion on it, which would be to approve the multi-year financial planning principle. Would we be able to do that now?
I think I could answer that.
I wasn't, my mic wasn't out.
My mic went off, but Councilor Belcher did make that motion. It was longer,
Oh,
more words in it. It did include the multi-year
okay.
plan.
Sorry, thanks for clarifying.
So,
Did I just kick it? I have to go out here for people.
I must have kicked my mic.
This is why I don't sit this close to the wall.
Yeah, you're going to turn on the system again.
And you lost your seat.
Yeah.
Are you playing footsies with that thing?
Okay, so moving into the regular business of our meeting, I am going to mention that people on my right will be asking or answering questions. Our acting CEO Amanda Riley, Community Services Director Nicole Asen, Director of Engineering and Infrastructure and Planning and Development, is that correct now? So it's a long title. Craig Fox, Tracy Connolly, our town planner, and Leanne Gaudet is here, our development officer. And on my left, we have Jocelyn and Militia, who look after keeping the screen up and the notes taken. Alexa Ross is here, our economic development coordinator, and Lisa always looks after the live stream, so you might hear voices, and we'll try to acknowledge the names so you know who's speaking. So we have the CEO report, and I'm going to start on my left if there's any questions on the CEO report or comments. No? What? No, we're in the CEO report right now. Yes. So if you have any comments or questions?
That's good.
All right.
Yes, I would agree, and very good and informative and lots of information. Thank you.
I would agree with that as well. I did find one statistic in our municipal enforcement second quarter report interesting, that a motorist was given a speeding ticket for driving 37 kilometers an hour over the speed limit. So if they were in a playground zone, they were only doing 67 within town limits. If they were in a 50 kilometer an hour zone, they were only doing 87. So I'm glad that they were able to stop this person. The reports are very in-depth, and that's just one that caught my eye, was that's an excessive rate of speed. So thank you for municipal enforcement.
Questions?
Thank you, Mayor Hunter. I have a few questions. On page 880 in the reserve continuity, we have a RCMP reserve, and I'm wondering what that's for, Mayor Hunter.
Thank you. Through the chair, the RCMP, it's the building, the actual facility reserve, and then further down, you'll notice the contract policing reserve, which is for contract policing. But the RCMP is the facility.
Is the facility?
Yeah.
Thank you.
It should say RCMP detachment. We can get that changed on the next report.
Thank you. Also on that, I know that DOSCA has some outstanding loans, and I'm not going to be necessarily going to be seeing that here, although DOSCA is reported as one of the continuities. But where would we see that, the loan, the outstanding loans?
Through the chair, that's something that I will have to bring back for council. It's not reported here.
Okay, thank you. And then the other one that I have is that the old fire hall film location, and there's a reserve for that, and I'm wondering, with the sale of the property, what happens with that reserve?
So Wednesday, you realize you're asking your question directly to our staff? Okay,
Through the chair,
yes, thank you.
that would be brought back to the September, the meeting following when the sale closes, which I believe is the 10th. So it would be the 23rd for council to determine what to do with that.
Yeah, keep going?
Yes?
Okay, thank you. On page 84 and then again on page 90, there are a few reportings of revenues that are way over what would be expected at this time of the year. And I'm going to say municipal enforcement in the first quarter was 75%. Now it's 100. At the second quarter it was 113%. The Memorial Complex in the first quarter was 100%, and now it's at the second quarter it's 115%. In planning and development, the economic development, 91% in the first quarter, and on page 90 in the second quarter it's 102%. I'm wondering if I could get an explanation as to why those are so high, considering that we're only halfway through the year.
Amanda?
Thank you, through the chair. So our revenues don't necessarily occur evenly throughout the year. And in the case of municipal enforcement, it's actually the fine revenue that's been higher than, and they've already more than achieved their budget, even though we're only partway through the year. And so, yes, that's the municipal enforcement. It's fine revenue. And that's just due to more activity from our peace officers in the enforcement realm. And then with the Memorial Complex, so that's largely what we budget for is the lease for the TELUS Tower at the Memorial Complex, and it's just received early in the year. So as soon as we get that $10,000, it looks like we've been 100% achieved. And then there's some minor, smaller amounts that we get for like table rentals and things like that throughout the year. And then, but it shouldn't be anything too significant. And then for the economic development, again, that's largely, and this also relates to municipal enforcement, the business licenses and animal licenses. Probably, I would say 90% of that revenue comes in January as they're due in the first month. And then they kind of trickle in for the rest of the year. So with economic development, those business license fees came in quarter one. And then we also had a bit of an unexpected donation from the Winona Herb Fest, Herbtopia, the $4,000 to contribute towards the prop. So that's adding to that revenue line as well.
Thank you. On page 87, in the second quarter reserves continuity, there's a line for legacy fund, and in January 1st it was $15,297, and supposedly there is a transfer out of that sometime during the year before now, because now the balance is zero. Is the mural underway from the legacy fund, or where are we with that? Why the transfer out at this point in time?
Thank you, through the chair. So if you look at the schedule, to the left of the first yellow column, it's the actuals, and to the right, it's commitments. So no, there hasn't been a transfer out, and that project is not, there's been no funds spent on that project, but what we're showing is at some time in the future, council has committed the $15,297 for a specific purpose, which in this case is a mural. And so I'm just showing either at the point the project is completed, that fund will be depleted. So that's just a commitment. You know, in this case, it's saying projected December 31st, 2025. That may not be totally accurate. It may happen in a later year, but that's just showing council has made a commitment through a motion to spend those funds. Yeah.
Thank you. I understand that now. I'm going to look at my notes now. On page 89, under the land improvements, we see the Disbury Tree project that we got some funding for, and it indicates that the project hasn't started yet. Is there something that's delaying the starting of that project?
Amanda?
Through the chair, so while the physical work has not started on that project, we're still in, because there's a federal grant involved, we're still in that, working out the details of that agreement for the grant. And until that grant agreement is approved and signed, we cannot start work on the project. So there's just some fine details related to the project that we have to work out before we can get the funding and move ahead with the project.
And Mayor Hunter, if I may, I'm looking at it's the Municipal Enforcement second quarter report, where it indicates that there were 476 provincial tickets, of which over half of them were warnings. And it seems to me that when we set the priorities for the municipal enforcement, we indicated that we were tired of warnings and we were supposed to be doing more ticketing. And with over half of them being warnings, that's not an indication to me that's a response to council's direction. And I'm wondering why we are still doing so many warnings.
Amanda?
Well, there is a significant number of warnings. The peace officers use their best judgment in ticketing folks. So there's a variety of reasons why they might give a warning over a ticket, but they have largely increased tickets overall, and also in some cases of these cases, they might have got a warning for one thing, but also ticketed on another. So if they may have been ticketed for speeding, but had a warning for, I don't know, for example, needing to register their plates. So it could be part of the same enforcement action in which one was a ticket and one was a warning. But I can definitely share or reiterate council's direction on the enforcement over warnings again.
Just to follow up on that, Mayor Hunter, I see that under the provincial ticket warnings, 50 exceeds speed in school playground zones, and I don't think that we're finding that acceptable. I think that if people are speeding in the playgrounds or the school zones, I would expect them to be ticketed. And I think that's, I'll leave it at that.
All right, is that all your questions?
Thank you, yes.
All right. I'm just going to ask about, and maybe this is not even, you can't answer this, Amanda, I don't know, but when we're talking about exceeding speed limit, are we talking getting caught maybe in the downtown core or in the residential areas on 582? Like, is there do we have that information?
I just know from what I've seen, we can get, it's definitely happening on the highways. And there has been, from what I've seen and heard. But I don't think the speeding's necessarily in the downtown core. It's hard when there's vehicles down there to get up to speed between signs, but within residential areas or playground zones, that's occurring. Playground and school zones. So, but if you want, I'm just being told too from our fire chief, it is all through town that the speedings are going.
Because they are broke apart, like school playground zone is different than the exceeding speed limit too, so they break out the playground zones, but
Yeah.
And I certainly agree with Councillor Windsor's comments, because I know a lot of people live in playground zones. and I again support Deputy Mayor's comments too, that when 37 over the speed limit is in a playground zone, it's really a dangerous act from the driver. I want to ask about the legacy mural, because I know we talked about it. I asked if we needed to make a motion or if we had to make some action from council to make sure that it moved forward this year. And is there an answer as to where it's at, or if it will get finished this year or started? Can I direct that?
Sure. I'll just have, I know somewhat, are you good with it? I'll just have Nicole Asen talk about that.
Well, thank you for the question. So through the chair, I have had an opportunity over the summer to connect with the Didsbury Arts Society to see about the potential of them assisting us with the community portion of the mural project. So just to remind council and those that are listening that what council has approved the $15,000 and change legacy fund for is a community-based mosaic tile mural that would be placed at the memorial complex that would have an athletic or sports theme to it, and that it would be made up of kind of like paint by number, where the people that are participating in the project are given a tile with some ideas on what colors are needed. They would design their tile and paint it, and then all the tiles would be assembled together, which would then create a larger art piece. So I have met with the Art Society about it. They were just getting ready to do their arts festival at the beginning of August before that meeting. So once the festival was done, they were going to, as a board, have a conversation about it. And so I'll be following up with them in the next little bit to see if it is something that is a suitable partnership, as they have the expertise when it comes to art. And see how we can bring forward a proposal to council that would meet that goal, and hopefully, but I don't want to commit to the timeline, but I would love to see that through the winter months that we would have paint nights where the community could come in and put their efforts into the larger mural project, and that we'd love to be able to see some installation happen in the summer of 2026. So that's the update that I have for you.
That's a great update. Thank you. It's on your mind quite heavily, I think. So thanks for that. We were over at the arena today too. I have to say the lights look fantastic over there. The building is so bright. And after all the renos a few years back and the new lighting now, the great ice, the new condenser that I think we heard you said started cooling within 3 hours or something. It's just like a brand new building. It looks fantastic. So that's a great grant. And you'll read more about it in the next week. I think people will, right? What was happening over there with those lights. And I'm not going to let Craig away without anything because he's here. And we should probably, I'm just interested how are things going over. The reservoir looks great. I snooped there, showed my grandsons the deep hole the other day, and I think it's such an amazing, once-in-a-lifetime project to watch evolve. Any just comments or updates on how well it's going?
Sure, thanks for the question. Yeah, I don't have anything substantial to report other than we're forming and pouring, and we'll be forming and pouring for about the next 4 to 8 weeks as they start to construct the walls and finish off the slab pours. And then we'll be on to doing the roof. So it's just a whole ton of steel and concrete that'll be going on, and it will move and progress relatively quickly. We're hoping to try and get it sort of in a backfill position by winter. So we've got sort of 2.5 months here to get it all done. So they're frantically working, but yeah, progress is moving along expeditiously as far as it goes. Schedule's on track, so we're happy with the results thus far.
Thanks for that. And planning and development, your list and chart table gets longer every time you put a report in, and thanks for all your hard work that's going on. If anybody out there is interested, if you look at the CO report, there is a design of what the reservoir will look like in the MPC package and in the planning and development report. So you can get I don't know, is there a section on our website that has the reservoir kind of a highlight, and that picture could be there, or what it's going to look like? I know that's just a thought for our community's understanding and to stay in tune with what's going on over there, or to know what's going on. Not every day, but what it's going to look like, I think it's really a great addition. Amanda, any thoughts on that?
Well, to answer your question, no, there's not a spot on the website for it currently, but if we have updates, we tend to put out a bulletin which is housed on the website, or stay tuned to our social media pages for those, and we can see what we can add as far as information goes about the project.
And I don't want to encourage, hundreds of people over there standing around the reservoir, but it's a pretty major project. So I wanted to mention too, our fire department is unlike no other in that they are dealing with wildland fires too, wildfires out there. So always appreciate what our fire department is doing for our community, and thankful for all the rain we had. And I think everybody's hoping that it won't be fire bans for the long weekend in September, but it's getting pretty dry, isn't it? And again, thanks, I think Amanda, I don't know who puts this together, but the medical response update is always appreciated on the funds that the town district puts towards response times with medical incidents or assisting AHS crews out there. I have just one more question about the EDAC award summary. I know a couple of years ago we had a very quick, turnaround and getting someone to Charlottetown, Summerside, to accept an award for the National Economic Developers Association of Canada. And is there anything being discussed right now among the 3 partners of our film office? That it isn't only our film office. It isn't our film office at all, it's Disbury. So is there anything being talked about there? And I'm going to just mention that when I went to Summerside that year, I had to say I was quite disappointed. Like our EDA conference here has over 400 people, and when I went there to accept the award, it was on behalf of MVFR, our film office. There was about 70 people at the conference, and it's national. So I think that should come into play if we're discussing that, because while it's nice to receive awards if that's the case, is that conference got the value for sending someone to accept an award in front of 70 people when we can do that ourselves with our media and social media and our announcements? But maybe you might know if there's something in the works for that, and if you don't, that's fine.
I'm not aware of anything in the works for that.
Okay. So thank you, everybody, for the great work. Amanda, can Nicole answer one last question? And just to jog everybody's memory on that tree legacy, I thank you for your answer about that, but if that's the case that we were to move forward with that, the campground is included in the tree allocation. Is that true? Because there's still obviously comments that we know there's comments about lack of trees down there. We're very aware of it. We're working on it. The tree canopy grant was one of those things that we're going to address it.
Yes, and I can let Nicole speak, but I know that the application, the project itself was for the majority of trees at the campground, but also on some of our boulevards in our downtown heritage area.
Thank you. Okay, thanks, Amanda, for that. So, thank you for all your answers. I'll have a motion to accept the Chief Administrative Officer report, this information. Go ahead.
I move that council accept the Chief Administrative Officer's report as information.
Call the vote, all in favor? That is carried. This is 167 pages, you know. Piles. I can't even keep 80 organized. I'm not a digital person, so. So our next item is item 7, bylaws and policies. Item 7.1 is land use amending bylaw 2025-14. And I'm just going to get to the right page. All right. So we had the public hearing. Administration is recommending, if we're satisfied with the hearing and the information we received, we would like a motion to grant second reading to the land use bylaw amendment. All right.
Thank you, Mayor Hunter. I'll move the council grant second reading to land use amending bylaw 2025-14.
Are there any final questions on this? Am I right? On my left? No? Okay, I will call the vote on granting second reading to land use amending bylaw 2025-14. All in favor? That's carried.
And Mayor Hunter, I'll move the council grant third and final reading to land use amending bylaw 2025-14.
All right. I will call the vote on the third and final reading to land use amending bylaw 2025-14. All in favor? That is carried. We have item 7.2, land use amending bylaw 2025-15. Deputy Mayor.
I move the council grants second reading to land use amending bylaw 2025-15.
Do you have any comments or questions?
No.
Okay, I will call the vote then on the second reading, to approve the second reading to land use amending bylaw 2025-15, as Deputy Mayor said. All in favor? That's carried.
And I move the council grant third and final reading to land use amending bylaw 2025-15.
All right, I will call the vote on the third and final reading. All in favor? That is carried. Now we have item 7.3, land use amending bylaw 2025-16. Administration recommends, if we're comfortable, to make the motion for second reading.
I move that council grant second reading to land use amending bylaw 2025-16.
Comments? Over here? None? So I'll call the vote on granting second reading to land use amending bylaw 2025-16. All in favor? That is carried.
I move that council grant third and final reading to land use amending bylaw 2025-16.
Right, so we'll call the vote for the third and final reading to the land use amending bylaw. All in favor? That's carried. Item 7.4, COUN 001-25, Council Remuneration and Professional Development Policy. And there's a few things with this item. First is to finish items 8 through, or sections 8 through 10. We didn't get finished at the committee of the whole. And so we'll start, and I will certainly wrap up with comments on the entire document, but item 8, section 8, is submission and approval of council remuneration forms. And I believe there were some comments on that, and we have the document in front of us that has been marked up. And I'll start with Councillor Windsor for section 8, because you had some comments in your document.
I did, Mayor Hunter, and I think that we maybe covered a couple of these in the committee of the whole, but I'm wondering if what they're suggesting here with this new change to the policy, if there's no approval process for the councillor expense claims, generally speaking. And what happened to the clause 6.9 and the 6.9.1 from the previous version, and this indicates that claims depend entirely on individual integrity, which has been proven to be questionable in the past. And 8.3, do you want me to go through these, all of these, Mayor Hunter, at this point?
Sure.
Okay.
You have comments?
8.3, minor adjustments, that the administration is going to be able to make minor adjustments or corrections to the councillor members' submitted expense forms. I'm not sure exactly what a minor expense or a minor adjustment is, and how it is completed, how an expense claim is completed, if there's going to be a possibility of changes to be made to it. And then there is nothing here that talks about the administration, whatever minor adjustments they made, communicating back to the claimant as to what changes were made and why. And I guess the other thing that concerns me about this is that essentially an administrator's part of the administrative team is going to be approving their boss's boss's expense claim. And I don't think that that's the role of staff at all. I don't think that's their role. In 8.5, it talks about a dispute over suitability of a claim, and it may be presented back to council for their consideration and approval. It suggests that there's automatic approval, and that isn't necessarily the case, and so I think there needs to be an adjustment to take out, and it should be for approval or for their consideration, or some minor change there. It indicates that in 8.6 that the expense claims are required the third day of the month, and if they're not there the third day of the month, they may be processed. And I'm wondering what exactly that's saying. Is it saying that it may be processed at that time anyway, or whenever it's submitted? Is it saying it won't be processed that month and might be processed the next month? Is it saying that it won't be processed ever, or it may not ever be processed? There's nothing clear there that identifies exactly what is being said there. Those are my comments about point 8.
Do you have solutions to them?
I do have solutions to some of them. On 8.5, I just say that it should be referred to council for their consideration and end it there. It doesn't need to say anything else. Council will to consider it and to make a decision. I think that on 8.6, the third day of the month, when it talks about late submissions, they have to be in by the third day of the month, and if they're late, they will be processed. I think it's important to indicate that they will be processed. It's not necessarily going to be this month, but maybe it's going to be next month, but they will be processed. And those are my 2 comments on that. 8.3, I don't have a solution to that other than to take it out, because I don't think that the staff should be approving council or maybe it's not approving, it's just processing the claims without an approval process.
Comments?
Yeah, I think we discussed that it is not an approval. The approval is, the policy directs what is claimable and not claimable, and administration is looking at the claim, making sure that it falls within the policy, that the counselors were not to go over budget, and that spending their money is not, you're not approving as long as it's within the policy. I agree with 8.5, your recommendation there, Councillor Windsor. And I think 8.6, yeah, it may need to be cleaned up a bit. I think what this actually says is if it's not received by after the third day of the month, it may be processed in the next period or pay period, meaning that if it's not received within that period, it may be processed in the next pay period. So we can't say, like, if it is received, it will be processed. I agree with that. But if it doesn't get received, we can't process it. So maybe the wording there is a little off as well. But yes, it will be processed, and cleaning that up with in the period that it's received. As long as it's received within that period, it will be processed, whatever month it is. Those are my comments.
Amanda?
Thank you, Mayor. Just to clarify a couple of things. Under 8.5, you'll see in this agenda package we did, administration did change that based on our last conversation, so we just added for due consideration and decision at the end of the sentence, which hopefully addresses that. 8.3, to go back to that, yes, it's just administration is only making minor adjustments or corrections as it relates to the consistent meeting times. And so it's only if they're going to check the meeting minutes to see how long it was and make sure each of the attendees is claiming the same amount of time. So it's not an approval process, it's just like a check and balance to make sure everybody's claiming the same amount of time. And then in the case that, because it should be the length of the meeting consistent for everybody in attendance. Otherwise, if it's something different, it would be on a different line item. And in no way is that meant to be an approval as well, just to clarify. And then 8.6, all that means is there is still a chance it could be processed in the current month, depending on when the pay period falls. But if not, it would be processed in the following month. So we put the may statement instead of shall for that reason. So if there's a way to clean up that, we could consider tweaking the wording.
Is that about this?
8.6. Oh.
Yeah, no, Councillor Bazard has a comment about this.
Thank you, Mayor. Through the chair, don't misunderstand what I'm saying, but there are 7 members of council. Surely it wouldn't overburden administration to tally the expense on each one rather quickly. To say it has to be in 3 days after the end of the month. Some people only have one item on their expense account. So it's just, am I oversimplifying this? I'm looking at it shouldn't be that difficult. So if we say, 10 days would be a little more acceptable if somebody happens to be out of town or doing something. I know we can do email and send it in and all that kind of stuff. But I think 3 days is a little quick. I usually have mine in probably first, usually by the 25th or something like that. So I'm not concerned about that, but I am concerned about the time that we're allowing for the report to be in. I think it's a little quick, that's all.
And again, because through the chair, because depending on how the days fall, so if the 3rd is the Friday, administration wouldn't be reviewing it until the Monday, and the 15th, which is the payday, would occur the following Friday, but our payroll system requires us to submit payroll in advance of the 15th by a few days. So there is a processing period that takes place. So we say the 3rd day to be certain that we can meet the 15th paid day deadline. And again, it may be processed in the next pay period because if the stars align, if the dates fall on that are workable for us and we get it afterwards, we still may be able to process it in time.
Thank you. Through the chair, I don't see it affecting me. It was just a question for clarity for myself, without pointing fingers or nothing or saying anything derogative about administration. But you know my support is, so that was basically information. I'll move that and accept that as information. Pardon me?
Is that your only question?
That's it?
I don't know, but you're
Yes, that's it. Thank you.
I noticed that in 8.3, the communication to the member of council was added, so I'm assuming that was what was requested.
It's actually different because, no, it isn't different. It's an addition that the council always has been able to bring their claim to council for consideration. And I'm going to go back to this section 8 on administration signing, and my comment was, I don't know that it should replace council oversight. I don't have I think Amanda's explanation was certainly a good rationale, but I don't know then who approves our claims then. I guess we just approve our own is what I'm hearing, and I would disagree with that. Because we all know, I think there was a big case in Calgary there at one point where councillors, and the fella got a 6 months jail term for even a $6,000 overspend as a council member that wasn't legitimate. So I think I appreciate the, what did you call it? Administrative, it's not approval, it's accuracy of the meeting times, but where does the approval come? So I think we have to resolve that. And every time we talk about this section, there's, if a mayor does, or if the deputy mayor declined the mayor's expense claim, a certain portion of it, I could always bring it to council to get council to resolve it. That's never been taken away, even in this policy. So I think they have to work together, the administrative oversight and the council oversight. And I still would like to see something along those lines stated in here. That signatures of fellow council members, mayor to council, deputy mayor to mayor, whatever it might be. And it's not an unusual thing. I sign the CAO's timesheet, and I probably shouldn't have to, because all our CAOs are very honest. But it's a due diligence thing. It's not a doubt thing. It's not an accusatory thing. It's a due diligence and proper oversight of each other. So, Deputy Mayor and then Councilor Windsor.
So I think something's getting missed here. Nobody is assuming that expense claims shouldn't be scrutinized and looked at if they fall within the policy. If, for example, a councillor went and bought a councillor lunch that was not a member of this council, but from another town, that would be an anomaly that administration would see as outside of the policy, and they would deny that. And that would be taken to the councillor. And if that councillor feels that it should be paid, then that would have to be brought to council. The policy clearly defines what you can and cannot do. So if it falls outside of that, it's being rejected. So I don't know where this, we're just going to approve our own comes in. We're not. We're only submitting claims that are clearly defined in here. If it's outside of what's defined in here as an approvable or an acceptable claim, it's being denied. That's my understanding, but correct me.
Councilor Windsor?
Thank you, Mayor Hunter. Just based on our CAO's explanation as to what the minor adjustments are, they're not looking at what the policy is, and they shouldn't be responsible for bringing it back to their boss to say, this doesn't comply with the policy. And then if there is a controversy over that, what position does that put administration in? Because there has to be, I believe there has to be an authoritative approval of the policy, and it needs to be in this policy to say so. Approval of a claim needs to be in this policy. To put that burden on, because that's not what Amanda's talking about, is adhering, ensuring that timesheets are adhered to the policy. That's not what she's talking about. What she's talking about is simple adjustments to make sure that councillors are only charging or are charging for the amount of time of a meeting. That's what she's talking about. She's not talking about compliance with the policy. And so I previously, the councillors' remunerations were approved by the mayor. The mayor's was approved by the deputy mayor. And if there were problems with checking it based on what is allowed in the policy and what is not, it's on an equal footing. It's not someone trying to talk to their boss. That's where I think that it has to go back to that. I would not approve this the way it is.
Okay, I'll give you last comment on this thing, and we'll go around and just see.
We'll go over
Who? Well, no, you can finish commenting, and then I'll.
So I'm not, I understand what you're saying, Councillor Windsor, and obviously I don't want claims going through that should not be going through. I have no issue with they should be approved. People should not willy-nilly. So I would like to, I guess, get administration's input on this, as they, in the meeting, was suggested that they take over this, but my understanding of what they're doing may be different than what is intended. There obviously has to be an approval of some sort, because you're absolutely right. You can't just submit claims and they go. However, if they're outside of the policy, they should be denied. And how that's worded is,
So are we asking
yeah.
then administration how we blend council oversight with administrative oversight? Or are we just asking how they see it working?
I was going to ask how this was
Amanda sees it
seen as working, yeah.
Okay, Amanda.
Thank you. So if this was the policy and we were going through it, administration would, just like we do now, look at your claims and make sure they're within the policy. And if we find something that's not within, we would escalate that to, right now, the approving body, which is the mayor, and just say, is this an error, or is this, because there are sometimes errors on the sheets. But with this policy, I think it would go through the CAO, where the CAO would ask a council member whose expense claim it is. Is this what you intended? It doesn't seem to be matching what the policy says. It would not be a member of our staff. It would be the CAO communicating that to you. But they're simply asking. They're not approving that transaction. And so the full oversight would come from the public scrutiny of having your claims posted on the website, and your own personal submission. But if you're looking for an approval body within council, then I would suggest the same structure where the mayor's approving the council members and the deputy mayor's approving the mayors. That is the structure that tends to make the most sense. I'm just looking here.
But to that, Amanda, and to all of council, we've talked about this a long time, and I think we have to come to a resolution on it, what needs to be done. I know it isn't, I said that last meeting, it's not a hill I'll die on. I know mayors that sign, I know lots of mayors that sign council's expense claims, and I know some mayors who administration does the work, the CO does the work. So if something is going to change and our CO believes it's going to be an effective process, and that public scrutiny is what's going to call out the council member, although I don't know how the public knows exactly what we're doing all the time. They know on our expense claims, but they don't know how long we're there, what we're doing, or whether or not it was in Drumheller or Stettler. But of course, with them being posted, it will be a little more obvious as what's going on with everybody's claims. So that's my statement on it, and I would like to see dual oversight, but it's not a hill I'll die on. I'll go to you next for what you think.
So thank you for the explanation there that it would be following policy. I want to ensure that all expenses are legitimate and claimed properly, so a dual oversight I have no issue with. If if that's the way it is, I think it would be anyway, that the CAO would look at it being outside of the policy, and it has to be brought to council for approval, and it's just not approvable. But I have no problem with a sign off of a mayor and a deputy mayor either. I, like you, will not choose to argue over that. I would much rather see a dual oversight than something slipping through. Our attempt with this was to make it as transparent and open as we possibly could. And I have no objection to administration submitting it to mayor and deputy mayor for final approval if it's an approval. But again, I do believe that those safeguards were there, that false claims could not be put through. But again, I would rather err on the side of caution. So I'm fine with having that change made.
Councillor Windsor?
Thank you, Mayor Hunter. I think it's important to have that back in so that the mayor is approving the councillors and deputy mayor approves the mayors. I think we've gone through many instances where there are claims that were outside of policy. And it has caused some problems, it has caused some friction, caused some hard feelings, and there has been confrontations because of it. And if every councillor simply submitted expense claims that were in concert with the policy, there wouldn't be any conflicts, there wouldn't be any problems. But that's not what's happening. And that's where I think the mayor has to look at these and scrutinize the expense claims, just as she has been doing for the last 8 years and probably long before that. And the deputy mayor knew the mayor's, and that would be the check and process that would be appropriate for scrutinizing expense claims. That's my opinion.
Councillor Bezic? Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm fine with it as it presented, and I have no issue with administration dealing with us. Because administration works on straight policy. Period. If it doesn't fall within the policy, it's rejected. It's very simple from my point of view. And I have no problem. I don't like, it's like in your business. You're not gonna, the employees aren't gonna check the employees. It doesn't make sense to me. We have effectively an independent body in administration that has been given direction of policy of how these expenses are supposed to be dealt with, and they will follow that to the letter. The administration doesn't waver from anything that council has not authorized them to do. So I'm fine with the way it is. I don't want to change it. I think what we've been presented, they did a lot of work on this, the whole committee and administration, and I want to move forward with this. We've been beating this thing off for quite a long time here, so I'm done with it. I accept that administration will do the oversight, period, and I'm accepting that.
The thing that I really like about this is the transparency. None of us have any idea what anybody else's expenses are like, or what they claimed, or what they've been going to and how much it costs. I'm excited that not only other councillors but also the public is going to be able to see the expense claims and scrutinize them. So I think there's lots of oversight. I'm content with it the way it is as well.
So we're talking about Section 8 right now? You're talking about...
Yes.
No, I'm talking about Section
That
8
as
right
well.
now.
Yes.
We're talking about Section 8. I want to get back to though so I see that we'll leave the 8.3 the way it is. 8.6 though, to clean it up, should it just say may be processed for that month? Protested, yeah. No, but I'm talking about process, like if they're late later than the third day of the month getting it in, it still could be processed, so that maybe needs something just stated there. And then it also could say that may be processed in the next pay period. So if that helps, I don't know, Councilor Windsor brought that up, and it just clarifies that statement that you might still get paid that current month.
Yes.
But you also might get paid next pay period, and that's there like that.
Excuse me, Mayor, isn't that what the one in our agenda has been changed to, maybe processed in this year? Was it already changed?
No, I'm talking about, geez, what am I?
Mayor, could we add just may be processed in the current or the next pay period?
No, it hasn't, Dorothy, you can change, so. Sorry, Amanda, I was interrupted there. What did you say?
Could we add after process, may be processed in the current or next pay period?
Yeah, I think that's just an easy fix.
We're following.
Or following?
Yeah. Okay, so that probably should do section 8 then. Have agreement?
For section 8, then, are we not having an approval process?
Consensus was to leave it at 8.3 as it is.
Thank you, Mary.
And I think with that, the next council can change that any time if it's not working. So review of council compensation, I think, there wasn't any comments on section 9, I believe, in these documents. And then section 10, financial reporting, there were some comments. And again, comments for revisions is what I'm talking about. So I think Councilman, I'll start with you again, because you had some suggested revisions, but
Thank you, Mayor. For 10.1, it talks about annually including the audited financial statements for anybody who's serving on a committee, board, or commission. And I'm wondering why it's annually. I don't know why it couldn't be quarterly or even monthly. I know that with the Water Commission and the Waste Commission, you have to fill out an expense claim every month. And why that can't be included in the reporting, if we're going to report the other claims, then other expense claims or professional development or whatever, I don't know why it can't be, you can call it something and do them all so that there is complete transparency. Why are we waiting for it to be done annually? I don't understand that. If we're going to do expenses, then let's do the claims right top to bottom in all of them. And so my suggestion is to change that to the committee, board, or commission shall provide their remuneration for inclusion in council reports.
monthly for
Monthly.
inclusion.
Monthly and audited financial statements.
Sorry.
Um,
You can't do that because the Waste Commission, for example, have just changed their payment process, and it's like every 3 months. And that's not even written in stone yet. The last time they paid committee members, it was for a 3-month period. We don't know if they're going to go another 3 months or they're going to do it monthly. So it can't be monthly. It has to be.
You'd report 0 for that month, is what you would do.
Well, you can't because you're going to be remunerated. It just hasn't come through until they decide to do it. So it's just more work monthly. I don't know.
So I'm going to comment on, do you have a comment on that? Councilman Winters?
No, I don't. I assume that boards and commissions were paying outside of the town of Didsbury, so that's why it wasn't included in the Didsbury financial auditor statement, because that money is sourced from outside of there. But I do believe that it's important that those earnings be posted, that it shows that a counselor on a board or commission received X amount of money for being on that board or commission. So I don't know if that's monthly, weekly, or annually. But it's not coming off of the budget of Didsbury, I guess, or because it's paid by an outside board. I don't know if that makes any sense. That's just kind of the way I see it.
In my comments, and I'm going to support Councillor Windsor, because the only reason you're on those commissions or boards is because you're a council member. And you're getting paid as a council member of the town of Didsbury to be on those commissions and boards. And if you want true transparency of what a councillor is making, then it should fall in line with what we make everywhere else, that you report your monthly remuneration from your board, commission, or committee, and it's posted along with the monthly postings for our remuneration, and if it's zero, then it's zero. But every time you go to a meeting, you submit what your expense claim, and you know what you're getting paid for that meeting, so that would go into your monthly expense reporting, because it can be, because you know what it is. And that is, there's been a reluctance of board members that's transparency. But if you're getting paid as a council member, no matter by who, and you're only getting paid because you're a council member, my opinion is that it needs to be reported monthly and posted with everything else. I support Councillor Windsor on that, and I don't know if you have a final statement or...
Well, I'm not on the board or commission, so I don't know how that is paid or how it's calculated, so I would listen, I guess, to members. You're on the board. I don't know how much extra work that is, and I don't know how you separate it. But yeah, I'm not abject to reporting is reporting. It's still transparent. It's being reported. It's just the frequency is what the argument seems to be over here of that report. So the transparency is still there. It is reported in the I guess the end of the year. But for monthly, I don't know honestly what the extra work is or why there's a reluctance to do it. I don't know.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Thank you. Just from an administrative point of view, a couple of things that I have to add. So it may be difficult for administration to make sure that reporting is provided because we have no control over the information. It's coming from independent third parties, and it is that are paying the members of council. So if the council members aren't reporting that information to administration for inclusion in either the monthly report or the website, then we don't have any tools to get the councillor to comply with that. Whereas when it's our reporting and our funding, we can pull that information ourselves because it's within our own systems. And even speaking about the inclusion on the annual report, financial statement, it is it's not, because it's not our reporting, it's a presentation error. And I've had our auditors comment about it. They do have kind of a presentation error. It's not significant, but technically it's not within the financial reporting standards to include payments from a third party to a counselor. So those are just a couple things to consider.
But if it's in our policy, they would have to report it to you. That's the change. When they go to a meeting, they fill out a form, 5 hours times this much money, and they know that that's what they're getting. So again, accountability of councillors to get their information to the council. I see what you're saying about the audited financial statement, because it's not our money, but it's still because they're counselors that they're getting the money. So if they weren't a counselor, they wouldn't get that. Do you have anything to add? And then
Yes, with Mountain View Seniors Housing, it depends so much on what's happening there, whether I'm on committees, or it varies a lot. Generally, it's about maybe $1,200 a year, more or less. But there's also, like, the expenses. I don't think mileage and travel time are considered part of your remuneration. And I don't see the need for it. It's not a lot of money, and it's not town. We're part of a commission by reason that we are a councillor. But really, as far as finances go, it has nothing to do with our town books. I get an annual statement. I don't get a monthly statement. I don't get sometimes one for 3 months, but then I get one in the mail, and at the end, it's always a bit of a surprise to see what's on the T4. So I'd like to have it continue annually, which is the report that I get that's accurate. Anything I give other than that would not be accurate.
Thank you, Mayor. I guess two things. Number one, at the end of the year, I have been required to submit a T4 to administration. For whatever reason, I don't know, but we do that. As far as the remuneration goes, like I say, this last go around with the Waste Commission, specifically, there were 3 meetings, and the payment finally came through. If I was to say at the end of a given meeting, it wouldn't be accurate, because I haven't been paid, and I have no idea what it is, because sometimes they change it. They might change it up for whatever reason. So instead of getting 3 hours, it might be 3 1/4 or something like that they would figure out. So I cannot come up with a specific amount. So to say 0, I'm deceiving the reader, because it wasn't 0, but I don't know what it is. So, and that's why I'm saying annually to me makes a lot of sense, because it's reported, because the T4 is handed to administration. So they have that. That is reflected on the website as to additional income. I have no problem with that. I have no problem with this either way you want to do it. I just want to get it over with. Let's do something, please.
Amanda just told us that these boards and commissions shouldn't be in our audited financial statements. So we have 3 members of our council who aren't reporting their income as councillors, even if they're paid by someone else. They're still not reporting their income as council members being paid for things they're doing on behalf of council. And I don't know why that rationale is hard to understand, but it is one of those things that I feel strongly about, and that's my opinion, and it could be the hill I die on in my vote, so that's my choice, right? So what I'm hearing, I have 2 against it that can't do it. We have 2 that feel it should be in here, and I don't know what you're thinking, and then we'll wrap it up with your final comment.
Well, after listening to everyone, I would say that we leave it the way it is. I think it's the least complicated. It is completely transparent, because the earnings are actually put on the website at the end of the year, that this was earned by that councillor on that commission.
But Amanda just said it won't be. So where would you like it to be if it's not in our audited financial statements?
Then we should have a line at some point that shows at the end of the year that councillor earned outside of their council committees or whatever. Then there should just be an additional boards and commissions, and whoever's on a board and commission, their name goes in there, and their annual earning on that, so that it is transparent to the public. It was earned. And I don't hear anyone saying they don't want to show it. So if we're not reporting it, then we need to show how to report it. It doesn't have to be monthly, but it does have to be, I believe it has to be reported.
You said it earlier, Deputy Mayor, that you're not on a commissioner board, and there's a lot of people that don't realize how much our commission board member makes with water and waste and seniors housing, what the remuneration is. And there are some councillors that are left out of being on those committees and commissions and boards. Not rightfully likely, that the commission board and committees, they stay on it for 8 years. No one else has a chance to be on it. That's another imbalance that comes with these committees and the reluctance to let everybody know how much you're making, because when you see how much these commissions and boards make, every council member should have a chance at them. So again, we go back to ownership of commissions and committees and boards, and the remuneration may very well be a part of it, it may not, but they're paid very well. And if we don't, well, okay, what's your point of order then?
My point of order is we're talking about settling this as a line item or whatever, not the review of boards and commissions and how much they make, and everybody should have a share. That's got nothing to do with the conversation that we're having here. I'm sorry.
Well, I'm just going to say that it does, in that if there's no reporting of the funds, then other council members aren't aware of that. The community is, especially for council members, and I'm going to leave it at that, that it is relative. Deputy Mayor?
So hopefully I wasn't misunderstood. I do want to report it. The frequency of monthly is not the issue to me,
No, I understand.
but it does need to be reported annually and shown on the website. I back that 100%. If that's not happening, I don't follow that. So if it's being reported, it needs to be there. If it's not being reported, it needs to be put on there.
Okay, well then, there's 3 that agree with that. So let's go to,
My question to the
I
chair.
didn't acknowledge you yet, Councillor Baswick. So
Oh, sorry.
if everybody could just settle and then go ahead, I'll acknowledge that you would like to speak. And I had intended that was the last comment, but yours will be the last comment on this.
I'm fine with that. Cut off is fine. I'm used to that. Thank you.
No, I said you'd be the last comment, and if you choose not to speak, that's up to you.
You told me that was the last comment and I wasn't able to speak, so
I didn't. I gave it to you, the last comment. So we have item 10, then is fine the way it is, without any changes. So I'm going to go around the table. Oh. Mm-hmm.
Just so I understand, are you saying that it is posted? Because I was saying or arguing in favor of it, of commission board numbers being posted as earnings.
Councillor Moore, Deputy Mayor has the floor. If you want
So-
to speak, please put your hand up.
That's my question. Is it being posted now? Or did I miss something? I stepped out for a minute. I'm sorry if I missed
So I'm
it.
going to speak for Amanda, and she can finalize this, but it's in the audited financial statements, but it shouldn't be. So that does need to be corrected in this, I believe, and I'll take your comment on that. Where would it be posted if it's not in our audited financial statements? Because it's not our money. So go ahead.
And sorry, just to clarify, it still can be in the audited financial statements like we've been doing. It's just technically a presentation error, but it's not something that we wouldn't receive a clean audit over. It's not technically in line, but we can keep it there. It's just technically not allowed, but it can be there.
One last statement. I'm serious.
Exactly.
You're
So I suggested a little bit earlier that this maybe needs to be changed somewhat then, is that at year end, commissions and boards earnings outside of the town are also posted with, like on our website, so it shows that somebody made so much money doing library, museum, whatever. But then any board and commission is a separate little box that is just added after all the annual money's brought in and reported, that it shows Councillor Baswick earned X number from this commission. So his total is this, but that only has to be done once a year because it does need to be, I agree, reported. And people don't find it if it's buried in a financial. But if it's posted with our earnings, it should just be there. And that's what I'm suggesting that we have to change this to, is that it is posted the same as our other earnings. And maybe the box is there the whole time. At the end of the year, it gets filled in. Does that make sense?
Well, then, suggest the change that you'd like to see. In what statement?
Okay, so through the chair, how might that look if it's not already being done? And my suggestion of, at the end of the year when all the annual earnings are posted, are we putting a box there that shows commissions and boards, or can we put that box in there that shows them? Through the chair.
So, yes, we'll have to adjust how we post stuff on our website anyways with this new policy. So we can add a section for annually commission, boards, and committee, board, and commission pay for each councillor. And so to change this, I think we could just members of the council are compensated directly by a committee, board, or commission shall provide their remuneration annually to be posted on the website.
I'm not taking any more questions on this. I said that was it. We're going to. I didn't ask for questions. I asked him how that's going to change in the audit, in the whatever section it needs to change in, because that was the final suggestion. So, did you do that up there? It still will be included. Amanda, it doesn't need to be included in the audit financial statement then, or it's fine that it is, and we just add another section statement.
It would be up to council, so we can get away with putting it in there if that's council's wish. But we could also put it on the website as a separate line item. But it's up to council if you want it in both places. I don't know that it's not, unless you're reading the financial statement word for word and line by line, you probably wouldn't notice it.
And wouldn't understand it anyway. Yeah. So what do you have up there, Jocelyn? Or is it, who's doing it? Am I talking to the right person? Okay.
So we would cross out for inclusion in the audited financial statements, and the whole phrase would now read, members of council that are compensated directly by a committee, board, or commission shall provide their remuneration annually to be posted to the Town of Didsbury website.
You can read that, small writing. Can you just say that again? Sorry.
I can almost read it.
Yeah, so sorry, it's so small up there. I'm in a PDF. So the whole phrase would now read, members of council that are compensated directly by a committee, board, or commission shall provide the remuneration annually to be posted to the Town of Didsbury website.
That was your suggestion. Is that satisfactory?
As long as I'm understanding it right, we're still posting our monthly earnings, right? Which we do, but because the boards and commissions sometimes wait 3 weeks or 3 months or whatever to get that update, that annually that will be posted. That's what I'm after, is that the full earnings of a counselor be posted. Is that what this means?
Then you would interpret that and get it done at the end of the year. That's not hard, right, Amanda? Like, that would be easy to just do all that on the final summary of the year end for council, council income.
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
So then I would just have to find out if that's acceptable by the rest, or you'll have to ask them.
Councillor Windsor?
Thank you, Mayor Hunter. I would say, so what if the councillor doesn't provide it?
Yeah. Councillor Baswick? Do you have any comments?
Yeah, it's the T4, it's accurate, that's what I would provide, and we always have, I don't think anybody didn't.
Okay, so we're done section 10. And we still have the beginning pages of this, which is page 114. And we asked that it be brought back for remuneration to be looked at, and how this is broke out. And then what I'll do is we'll discuss this. We'll go through any final comments on the policy itself, and then we'll make a motion. So what has been done is it's broke out. A council member gets $4,500, and then AB Munis takes it all up plus another $740, and that's without going to the spring caucus, and that's without going to any other professional development opportunities. And that is because per diems, accommodation, and travel are included in that. When in the past we had professional development was allocated at $4,500 for registration in professional development. So I'm going to just say, FPC did a lot of work on looking at what happens across the province in different municipalities. And what this would mean is the next council will be very impacted by this negatively, without opportunities for professional development. And I'll suggest that they go back to just including registrations, and the per diem, accommodation, and travel are as they were in the past. And that's my suggestion to start the conversation. And I'll again go to Deputy Mayor.
So I think in order of transparency, we need to let people know what the full cost of the development is. So if you guys are looking at increasing the budget, that's fine. But I am adamant that if I go to a conference in Calgary and it's $450 and that's all I show, but I have $700 in hotels, I'm not reporting properly. And I think it should be. So if these budgets have to be adjusted, that's an argument for someone else, but I just think that that's the transparency of reporting what is actually being spent. I've never, I don't think, seen it written as it was just explained as that's just the registration. It could be, but I think our taxpayers have the right to know what it actually costs to go to any of these things. It's their money. And so I just wanted to be shown that FMC costs $4,000 to go to, not $1,800, when it's shown on our council budgets as to what we've spent.
We just finished that in the policy that it'll be posted every month, what you have spent. well, my suggestion was that professional development stay as it is, and a reporting process. The reporting process that was flawed is that they weren't posted. The reporting process when it was posted, and when it was in our, well, it was posted. Luana put it in our packages, and it would tell how much I've spent on all the things I've done. So that reporting will even be enhanced going forward, and will include all that. And our budget, Amanda, just quickly, I think our budget is it's close to 200,000. Right?
That's correct, for
council.
For
everything.
council's budget, everything.
Everything.
Yeah.
So, Councillor Windsor?
Thank you, Mayor Hunter. I think that essentially the change that's been made here is going to prevent councillors from improving themselves as councillors. Essentially, you will be able to go to the fall ABA Munis Conference. If it's in Edmonton, that's it. You're done. Your PD is spent. You can't take any EOEPs courses. You can't do anything else that might be beneficial to learning how to be a councillor. In my mind, it's reducing the ability to train our councillors to be good councillors. I think previously the Alberta Munis events were automatic and weren't included in the professional development, and I would think that would be prudent to have it at least the same for this next council. I don't think that we should be penalizing them. We should be enhancing them, not penalizing.
Simply, I agree with Councillor Windsor. Exactly, that they should be separated totally, so that, because it will impede the personal development of a potential councillor. And I think those things are necessary and very important. So they should be, yes, separated. Thank you.
Yes, I actually think if we're looking at the true cost of professional development, it does cost all these things. I don't have a problem with increasing the budget to be able to, because we're already spending all that extra money, to have something that's not included and not reported in our professional development budget does not seem transparent or correct. I like the idea of reporting it this way because it shows the true cost, which is exactly what it is taking out of our budget, and not to segment it so that people can't see what it costs. So if we then need to make the professional development budget big enough to be able to encompass this, I do want to see, and I believe maybe that's a question, whether or not it provides for, I believe that you can have application to council for extra ones. I would think a new councillor that wants to take extra EOEP courses would be something that council would support. But I don't know that that's going to happen. I do want to see all the costs, and my answer would be to increase the budgets for the mayor and councillors to be able to encompass at least these things, plus maybe another workshop.
Amanda, you may have had a suggestion about that, but right now, this really says that you're not going to be doing anything. And the reporting process and the posting of all these claims now, and I can't say that Luana didn't do that. I don't think people read them, and I don't think it was publicized that much. I mean, they were in our agenda packages, that reporting. So when these are broken down, and you look at what we looked at as FPC, that encompassed everything that we trained for 4 years. every budget year, it was about $200,000. So that included more than these three things. It included RMA. It included, if you wanted to go to FCM and sacrifice some of your $6,500, but the mileage, accommodation, and meals were always outside of the professional development. And the reporting process and the expense claims being posted and all the expensables being posted are going to show the transparency everybody's after, but it won't be a detriment to the future council members that they can't develop professionally or take education sessions or participate in what council members generally participate in to become a better council member. So I don't know if you had it. Is that something that we should ask to be brought back? If you look at everybody's, if on our audited financial statement, did our mileage, our accommodation, is that included in what we made that year? Is everything in the financial statement what we made?
No, just what you're paid
Right, so per
for your
diems.
time.
So per diems are always in here.
But how this was presented to you in the past, first of all, the budgeted amount for professional development wasn't set by policy. It was just budgeted for each year. So this is formalizing the budgeted amount to be used by each counselor. And the reporting on that was sometimes different depending on what information was available. But the method that is presented here would be the most correct and inclusive.
Yep.
And I personally, as the person doing the budget, would like to see the budget to include everything, including the Alberta Munis. And previously was anything Alberta Munis was excluded from your 4,500. It wasn't just the fall conference. So that made it hard to budget for. We got to learn you over the years, your typical events, but I would suggest that council finds a number inclusive of all those activities that you would like to set for your budget and that we can report on during the upcoming quarters.
And I think this breakdown is great, don't get me wrong. That's great reporting for our website, for wherever, for our agenda packages. But as mentioned, Alberta Munis, and there's one Spring Caucus missing on here too, which would be another couple hundred, 250. Bring back the Alberta Municipalities one, and then, or we do this, and then you give the mayor 2,500 extra and councillors 1,500 or something like that. But everybody gets all these Alberta municipality things, plus outside professional development or additional professional development on top of 8 meetings. So they can do. And if it's FCM and it costs 4,000, then I would have to pick up 1,500 that myself if I were the mayor, or the mayor would have to do that. Yes?
Well, first of all, I don't know what that costs, but so my intent in this was not to reduce the amount that each counselor was able to go and get training on. My attempt was to just have it transparent that if that has to be budgeted differently, that's fine. I in no way, shape, or form am trying to reduce anyone's allotment. It's just I'm not comfortable with the way it's reported because as a layperson, I may look at it and say, "Oh well, a councillor only gets $4,500," but it's actually much larger than that. So I just want that reported correctly. That's all. I don't want to reduce or hinder anyone from going anywhere or doing those things that are important to them. So maybe this has to be looked at differently, this particular section.
And this section, though, will be part of the new policy, so can we all agree that all Alberta municipalities be included? So add the spring caucus to this, and then have some research done to bring back what would be reasonable for additional professional development money that would include all these things as well. So if that's one EOEP course, but if you have 2,500 and you want to take 2 in 1 year, because there's 8, and so would everybody agree with that we just ask administration to bring back all Alberta municipalities, and then a recommended number for additional professional development training that would capture pretty much what's been done in this term annually?
You're suggesting maybe 2 EOEP, and I would agree with that. Because if you don't take it, that's fine, but especially new councillors, I think they should be able to. So yes, I agree, we need to increase to the actual amounts. If our budget was 200 and some thousand, and every time we got a report on council, we're talking about a $39,000 budget. We weren't able to see what those other costs were in the previous reporting. I'd like to be able to see all of it and know how all of that money's been spent.
So yes, we're actually not asking for more money. It's just being moved from here to show it here. It's still the same amount of money. I don't want to take anyone off of ABM, AB Munis or any of that, EOBs. That's not what this was intended to be, and I do see how it's come out that way. So I appreciate everyone's input. It has to be noted, though, that this is not an increase. We're just reporting it differently. That's all I'm looking for here, is a different way to report it so that it's more transparent. The money is there. We're not allocating more, and I don't want to cut that from someone. So,
Councillor Windsor?
I've already said my piece, yeah, I just...
So the motion could be that we have this updated to include all of the municipalities. So the spring caucus is missed 2 EOEPs, and then a reasonable amount for additional professional development that would have been captured in the past 4 years, to bring it up to what your professional development budget actually is. So it might be each councillor is $10,000, I don't know. But is that reasonable that you guys, you could do that research and bring that back?
Yeah, we could do that.
And then all the markups that we did tonight, you might as well just bring the markups that we did tonight, the revised professional development allocation. And can I word that again? Motion? Can I word it right the first time? That we direct administration to bring back professional development budget for mayor and councillors to include all Alberta municipalities' events, 2 EOEP courses, and a recommended budget, a recommended amount to cover additional professional development and education that would have been captured in the last 4 years. I don't know how to say that, but it might be $2,000 you get extra on top of this. I don't know, but I think the research can be done because every councillor had that every year.
yeah, and it's not to change that,
No.
just the way it shows.
Okay. So did you catch that?
I did. I do have a suggestion. Okay, so I have moved by Mayor Hunter to bring back information regarding additional costing estimates related to attendance, registration, accommodation, and per diem at relevant professional development opportunities provided on the professional development list to the next regular council meeting.
just want to make sure that AB Munis is specific, that all the events are there, because generally all councillors will go to that, council members. So is that,
Yeah, so we would bring kind of what's on the screen here. We would bring all of this information broken down for all of the opportunities that are provided on that professional development list, which has Brownlee Law Seminars, the EOEP, RMA, things like that.
okay. Say that again then, please.
Moved by Mayor Hunter to bring back information regarding additional costing estimates related to attendance, registration, accommodation, and per diem at relevant professional development opportunities provided on the professional development list provided by administration to the next regular council meeting.
Okay, and then how about and that the changes to the policy be brought back to? Go ahead.
It sounds like there would be costing for all the things on the professional development list. Was what you said was really to bring back what we normally did in the last 4 years as far as the amount? So rather than having the whole list of professional development opportunities, it would be kind of like an average amount that we'd spend. Maybe that's a different thing.
I think it's what we spend on top of Alberta municipalities and EOEP. And if it's on our appendix, or if it's on our Appendix A, we must have done it in the past. So if you pick 3 of these things, you could have $2,200 more than AB Munis or something like that, is what I'm saying. Does that make sense, Jocelyn? Just want to capture it right so that we don't waste your time. Because we wasted over an hour, not wasted, but we spent over an hour on this. So we'll go with that, and we'll get back exactly what we said. Okay, I believe you. So say the motion one more time, and then I'll call the vote on it.
Thank you. Through the chair, moved by Mayor Hunter to bring back information regarding additional costing estimates related to attendance, registration, accommodation, and per diem at relevant professional development opportunities provided on the professional development list provided by administration, and bring back the policy with the track changes to the next regular council meeting.
Thank you. Call the vote. All in favor? That's carried.
That was easy.
Yeah, I just don't want to impact. So we move on to business 8.1, DP 25-061, Gordon McIntosh, change of use DC-IND, direct control district, industrial 1205 and 1209 20th Street. And that's on page 146. So, Amanda, do we have administration speak to this first? Anything? I haven't done one of these for a long time.
They don't need to. It'd be like any other business item,
Okay.
but and all the information is provided in the package. But we certainly can answer any questions.
Okay, so let's have the motion then, and then we'll have questions if there are any. Councillor Basil, do you want to make that motion?
If I can find it, yes, I will.
Page 1.
129.
I was on there.
It's a long one, so you just have to read the first statement and then, yeah, well, it says subject to 1 through 9, so just, you don't have to read 1 through 9.
Okay. I have it, thank you. I hope.
Good.
It's recommended that council approves DP 25061 for change of use, industrial services, industrial manufacturing and operations, and office subject to the proposed conditions 1 through 9.
Thank you. Do you have any questions or comments on this? Huh?
Yeah, I think we have to get the location of it at 1205 and 12.09 20th Street. If John would accept that? Councillor Basler?
What? Yeah, of course.
And no questions?
I heard you read that, so you must be hearing things. Said I heard him read that. Okay. Questions? Okay. So you guys listen to that conversation on remuneration for over an hour so that we have no questions for you.
Oh, man.
On the difficult things. So, there's no questions? And I'll call the vote. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you for the great RFD. We have item 8.2, DP 25-065, Blair Patelli, change of use, DCIND, direct control district, Industrial Bay 3, 2825 19th Street. Motion? Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor Hunter. I'll move the council approve DP 25-065 for a change of use, automotive services minor and retail small, located at Bay 3, 2825 19th Street, subject to the conditions 1 through 9.
Questions or comments? Councillor Baswick? See you shaking your head. Deputy Mayor? Looks like Disbury's getting busy. Great work. I don't have any questions either. So I will call the vote to DP 25-065 for change of use. All in favor? That's carried. I think maybe it's such a big package this time that everybody got to these sections and ran out of questions in general because they had answers in our heads. We have item 8.3, Explorer Inc., Scott Telecom Services Letter of Concurrence. Councillor Baswick?
Thank you, Mayor. Recommendation is to issue a letter of concurrence for the proposed Explorer Telecommunications Inc. 45-meter self-support telecommunication tower installation, which is located at Plan 9311360, Lot 2, West Half, 831-1, west of the 5th Meridian, Didsbury, Alberta.
It's kind of fitting that you would make that telecommunications motion. Any questions?
Again, I'm going to point out last time the tower came before us. It's a concurrence. We're not approving it. We don't have the authority to approve or disapprove it. So I don't know why it comes to council, but it does. So we'll concur.
Councillor Windsor?
I'm good with it, thank you.
All right. Me too, so I'll call the vote to issue a letter of concurrence. All in favor? That's carried. We have item 8.4, the Regional Policing Committee. Yeah.
Thank you, Mayor Hunter. I'll move that council approve opting out of Regional Policing Committee and to send a letter to the Minister of Safety and Emergency Services for permission to establish a municipal policing committee.
Okay. Comments, questions?
The only comment I have is that if we don't do this, then we end up in a joint committee with High River, Olds, Langdon, Rocky View County, and I don't think that that's going to serve us particularly well.
Hey, comments?
I agree.
I agree.
All right. I agree too that we will opt out of that regional and send a letter for permission to establish our own municipal policing commission. All in favor? That's carried. We have item 8.5, write-off of uncollectible tax account 2025. Councillor Moore?
Yes, I hate to do it, but we really don't have a choice. Province doesn't pay all their taxes. I move that we authorize the write-off taxes receivable for roll number 1398000, totaling $3,297.05.
Comments?
Nice that it went from 50 to 75%, and they're promising in future years it will be back at 100. So that is something to look forward to, but at present, 25% is not being paid for.
Agreed. No comment.
I think we thank the city of Edmonton for this. They made a big ruckus about it, that they got this changed. And I want to, this probably is off topic, but I saw too that the city of Calgary is invoicing the province for $10 million to collect provincial education taxes. So maybe everybody's on to something now. So we'll call the vote to authorize the write-off taxes receivable. All in favor? It's carried. And we have item 8.6, Joyce McCoy, request for additional remuneration. And I think Amanda's laid out. Do you have anything to add to this, Amanda? You did all the work, you and your team, on this?
Yeah, just that we did review in quite detail the claims that occurred in 2024, and as part of administration, myself included, I was involved in the final claim and requesting information by a certain deadline. So this request came after that deadline put in place by administration, but it is here for council to consider.
Okay. I'll start on my left side of the table. Comments?
I guess all I can say about this is that this is, if I recall, it's approval after the fact. In other words, someone went on some type of course or whatever, and without permission of council, and then came in asking for back payment for that. Now, a precedent has been set, as you'll recall, Mayor, with all due respect, that we've given you that consideration, and a couple of times when you asked that please cover this, I've already done this type of thing. So that's what's motivating me to go in favor of this, is because, in all fairness, everybody should be treated equally, in my opinion. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Comments?
When I look at this, it looks like 1, 2, 3 either have been paid or there's no record of attendance. However, the FCM conference, I do believe you and Councillor Windsor were there, and that she did attend that. And I don't know what happened to the claim, or, I know that she had approval to go because I recall her going. So that one, I am feeling that it may have been, her health wasn't all that good. She may not have been able to get it in, or thought she did. Number 4, I do feel like she attended it and incurred that time and cost. You were there, and Councillor Windsor was there to witness that. So that's the one that I feel maybe should be considered.
Okay.
These are always tough. I believe that if the counselor, in fact, did pay out of pocket and not get remunerated for it, or reimbursed, I guess, not remunerated. It has to be definitely considered. The Brownlee seminar, number 1, said that that one had already been paid, so that needs to be taken off the total if that was already paid. The EDA conference, I guess I would look for a little explanation, as was not in attendance on behalf of the town. So I don't know if someone can fill me in on that. I guess would be one question. FPC, if there's no record of attendance, then it can't be paid, obviously. And then again, FMC conference, if she was there, I wasn't. But if it was witnessed that she was there, then I believe that expense should be reimbursed as well.
Amanda, if I know I'm correct, but you can certainly add to this that Councillor McCoy won her EDA registration and registered herself in the convention for 2024 and went on her own because she had won the registration the previous year when she was there on her own. So there was I had a motion to go to that because that's the time, we've had so many policies, but that was the time when we needed a motion to go with things like this, and I believe Councillor McCoy didn't have a motion to do that. Amanda?
We didn't have that recorded, no. And yes, my understanding is the registration was a winning prize of some sort from the year before when she was attending not on behalf of the town. And at the time, there was no approval from this council to attend the EDA on behalf of council.
Does that answer your questions? Councillor Windsor?
Thank you, Mayor Hunter. Obviously, the Brownlee is out because it's been paid for. As far as the EDA conference, it's not on behalf of the town of Disbury, so there's no way she should be compensated if she's not working on behalf of the town. The Council of FCM, FPC, that's obvious as well. As far as the FCM conference is concerned, it states later that there was a failure to submit the request in accordance with the remuneration policy. Well, either we have a policy or we don't, and if it's not in compliance with the policy, it's not eligible. So I would say that there is nothing there that I would approve at all.
Luana did, the FCM, 1, 2, and 3 are out for me for the reasons that are cited. FCM, repeated attempts. There was many times that Luana did just submit a monthly remuneration because we couldn't get a policy or an expense claim to sign. So after repeated reminders, that claim of $1,436 I had never seen until it came through here, that there was no claim for FCM on any expense claims that were submitted, and then her resignation in September obviously ended the submission of expense claims. So it's not a hill I would die on as far as FCM is fine. I just disagree with the other three. I don't think, I support that administration gave deadlines, many deadlines to get final payments, final submissions, final everything in. So I think because of that, I think things like that to take extra administrative time after repeated attempts to get the information and they're still not submitted, and then it comes, 7 months later, through a counselor and not through the proper process. So I don't know that anybody, I don't think that any staff people could come back and say, hey, you didn't pay me for 7 months ago for that course I went to. I don't know the labor laws, though. I just think that every attempt was made by administration to get the information, according to the document, I believe, Amanda. But somebody needs to make a motion, I guess. If you believe that FCM should be paid, then you can make a motion if you like.
Make a motion. Mayor Hunter, I'll make a motion that we accept the information from the 8.6 as information. The request, I guess, in item 8.6 is information.
Okay, and just in fairness, subsequent motions can be made, because if we're accepted, so you're aware of that. Okay, so there's a motion to accept it as information. Call the vote, all in favor? Opposed? So that's defeated, and you were gonna make, did you want to make that motion? You don't have to.
I'm just trying to think of how I do believe that in normal circumstances, you can go with the deadlines and dates and enforce that. I do think in this case there is some room for her health and ability to be able to do this, and I just feel like she may not have been able to. She certainly did attend it, and it looks like it's $1,254.58. Does somebody want to double check that?
Well, can I just finish? Go ahead.
Okay, so I would make the motion that the one item on the request for FCM would be reimbursed at $1,254.58.
So do you want to name the item, the FCM conference?
Oh, yes. I think I just said FCM, so conference.
And I do want to remind Council that Councillor Moore resigned the day before Alberta Municipalities took place. What's that? No, you didn't. I often call her Councillor Moore, I don't know why. Councillor McCoy. I used to do that a lot when she was sitting here, so I haven't done that lately. But she did resign the night before AB Muni started. That cost the town $1,100 as well. That she walked away from, and we lost that money. Not we, the taxpayers, lost that money. So that's another thought that I had when I was going through this. But anyway, there is a motion. Any more comments? No comments? No?
I was going to say the same thing as Councillor Moore, that there should be, in my mind, a little compassion here because of the affliction that this councillor was going through at the time. So I'm cognizant of the fact that some of the faculties weren't clear, and perhaps she just overlooked various requests for information. I don't know. And I know the lady was having difficulty functioning, and so I'm taking that into consideration in this vote. Thank you.
Any final? You're in speaking?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
got a comment.
Yeah.
Yes, Mayor Hunter is correct that that resignation occurred, and there was a cost to the town. I think we dealt with it at that time. I also, I'm agreeing, or I'm going to vote in favor of this being paid for because this was a legitimate expense that was incurred. I can't hold it against anything else. So it was incurred. I will support this. I think the rest of it is fairly clear. So that's where I would end it.
Did everybody speak then? No one else has anything to say? Okay. And I'm torn. Because it impacts, we already adjusted our budget, 30,000 for 2 vacancies, but I will call the vote. All in favor. Can you read that again? Sorry.
Thank you. Through the chair, I changed the wording just a little bit, so please clear me up. That Joyce McCoy be reimbursed for $1,254.58 for her submitted request to reflect the Federation of Canadian Municipalities FCM conference.
Okay, so call the vote. All in favor? Opposed? So that's carried. We have Central Alberta Resilience Task Force participation. There's a motion here. Anybody want to make a motion? Councillor Beswick?
Thank you, Mayor Hunter. I move to approve the town of Didsbury's participation in the Central Alberta's Resilience Task Force, CAERT.
Okay, comments or questions? No? No?
Yeah, I guess first of all, is there a membership fee here? And where did this, like I haven't heard of these people, it doesn't mean anything just because I haven't heard of them. Where did this come from, I guess? Like, is it something that we've sought out or was it just sent to us?
Amanda?
If I may, I'll turn this over to our EDO, Alexa Ross, to answer that question.
Thank you for the question. Through the chair, this came about when the tariffs were impacting our businesses with the U.S. tariffs. The EDOs of the Central Alberta region, 10 EDOs from communities, got together to discuss the impact of those tariffs and other tariffs on our business community. And so we discussed and researched what other communities do. There's another task force, Brazilian task force down in Lethbridge. So it was modeled after that. But we thought we're going to put together, after looking at feasibility, we're looking to put this together for not just the tariffs right now. There's an appendix to that in terms of reference, but also anything that could impact our business community. If that is a flood, for example, they had a resilience task force at the time down in High River and the areas. So now everybody is really, not everybody, but many of the communities, the Calgary area, the Lethbridge area, and also Central Alberta. We're not sure if the North is going to do something, but everybody is, the economic development officers, coming together to discuss what we can do and how to help our business community. So we actually already launched a survey last month. The deadline for that survey is August 29th. It may have been extended over the weekend. But it is to ask all of our business communities in Central Alberta to fill out the survey, how they are impacted by any tariffs, as well as the interprovincial trade barriers. And then we're going to analyze that. And I have to say, I sent it directly via email to our businesses that opted in to be contacted for that, and also put this via our LinkedIn community out. And actually, the response, actually the highest ones along with Red Deer, came from Didsbury. So we will have a summary of the results in September, early September, and I would bring that back to council. So does that answer your question?
Thank you.
My other question is, like, is there a fee to be a member?
No, there is no fee. This is just basically the EDOs coming together to really building like a business retention tool for our businesses. And we collaborating together to find the best way to advocate for our businesses as well.
Thank you.
Councillor Windsor?
I guess I'm going to start this off by saying, where did this come from? This is the first we've heard of it. I'm confused about, we're asking the motion is to approve a participation in a thing that we're already in, that there's already been a survey done, that we are the co-chair of, that we weren't even, this council wasn't even aware of. That this is like you're backed into a corner and we have no choice. So I'm confused about this whole thing. Isn't this the mandate of CAPE? Isn't this line right with what CAPE is supposed to be doing? And if we're a member of CAPE, then why are we taking on this thing? And if we're going to take on this thing, then why aren't we submitting our letter to CAPE? Our exit letter. Like, I don't understand this whole process. Something's It reminds me of the Jeff Ball and what happened with the skate park and the moving of the skate park. That it was retroactive, and what choice do we have? I don't understand why we're being asked now to participate in something that we're already participating in. It doesn't make any sense.
Do you have a question?
My question was, where did it come from? What started this whole thing, and why isn't Kate doing this?
I'll have our Alexa answer those questions.
Thank you. Through the chair. So we, as I said, this came about through the tariffs that were imposed. And the EDOs, they meet quarterly and usually get together and discuss all of those things. Now we wanted to, before we go to council, we want to have something, explore that and see if there is a feasibility. We can opt out at any given time. There is no membership fee or anything. We are not obligated to actually participate. At the time, yes, I was co-chairing because I was asked and say, like, can you, when we have meetings, can you be part of that and can you help out? And I said, yes, of course. But it is also for our business community. The new executive director, they are at the table, they are attending. And we were discussing from the economic development group, that is right now 10 communities, if CAPE would be willing to take that on as a business retention tool as well. Because it is, you're right, it's a true regional initiative, absolutely 100%. Do we all feed into this as economic development officers anyway? Yes, we would. But we put this together, we said, here is what we're thinking, before we say like, oh, we're trying to do that, but now we have something solid in place to show you why we do that and why this could be in the future also helpful if there are other disruptors. We can quickly come together. We don't have to have like another terms of reference because there isn't, let's say like an emergency such as a flood or whatnot, that can be acted upon immediately. So it's up to you if you want, as Didsbury, if you want to be at the table. And we're discussing to hopefully CAPE having a little bit more of an involvement and taking the lead on that as well. So that was definitely a discussion.
Is that it?
That's it.
Thank you, Mayor Hunter. From my point of view, this is, appears to be a normal function of an economic development officer to explore all these things that could or could not be beneficial to our community. And the fact that the initiative is taken by an EDO is important. That's what they do. They go search these things and collaborate with other EDOs in order to just bounce ideas off them to see. So I don't see any, there's no nefarious thing with this. It's all in the normal duties of, and I would expect of an EDO to do this, meet with people, get ideas, strategies that, and all in the interest of Didsbury. So, and it's not costing us anything. And if CAPE happens to choke, there's something to fall back on. If this happens to choke or we opt out, we can deal with CAPE. But it's always nice to have an extra person at the table to collaborate with our EDO. So I have no problem with this whatsoever. It's just a letter. It's got nothing. It's not that big a deal to me.
Okay, there wasn't a question in there, so I'm not.
The question would be, why not cooperate with this group? That would be the question.
That's a question to council though. So that'll be in our vote if we cooperate with the group, right? And there wasn't a question directed at administration, so unless you have one. So a while ago we had the opportunity to participate in BROOD, which is a regional initiative, and it's a business retention, expansion, and workforce development, and Didsbury opted out of that. And I guess I just wonder why we jump right to the international items that not even our Prime Minister can control, or any Prime Minister can control tariffs, and I guess what's the difference that encouraged us to become part of an international kind of focus and provincial and not a regional one? And then my other question, Amanda, is if this was started in March, and this is the first time council's heard of it, what part of, like, was administration or CO involved in this initiative? And so I'll start with that one, and then I'll ask why a tariff participation and not a BROOD?
This came to me in my temporary role partway through, after it was already formed, I suppose, and just understanding that the group was kind of still forming and setting its terms of references and setting out what their actual goals and purpose of the task force were to be. So it was more in the exploratory phase. And then it kind of came out faster than I anticipated, and with the council break in that during the summer and things like that, and the task force already going ahead with the survey, the timing of it didn't align perfectly for council's involvement in deciding on or setting kind of the level of service regarding the participation in this. And that's why it's here now at this time.
And then my other question is BROOD. So BROOD was regional, that was doing a regional survey for business retention, expansion, and workforce development, and we're not involved in that. So why, can I ask why we would participate in this and then not in BROOD, so in a regional initiative versus that? And so I'd like to ask that.
And I'll ask Alexa to comment on BROOD. That opportunity came when I don't believe I was in this role, or we haven't talked about it, so I'll just have her comment on that.
Thank you. Through the chair, BROOD was there were lots of communities involved, and Didsbury was included last minute into the fold. For whatever reason, we were not consulted throughout the process of Prude. Then when it came to actually pay, and that's a paid initiative, $6,500 for a business survey that I already formulated on our own. That was slated for this year, and we working through this with Amanda this year through the budget survey as well. So we already planned for the business survey. This is when they came to us and they wanted to have $6,500 for to participate. So they had like twofold type of initiatives for that, and they were asking quite a substantial amount of money. And this is why we did not go ahead with it, because I said, you coming at the 11th hour and our budget is already set. I don't have the money in the budget for this. This was substantial. The tariffs are, while this is international, it is right in our front door, because it's affecting our businesses, and it's not just U.S. tariffs, but also the Chinese tariffs, with our agriculture affected by it, by canola. The tariffs that are going there. So there's quite a substantial amount of industry that is affected by that. And some of them is like the agriculture, of course, agri-food, retail and wholesale trade for sure. The hospitality and tourism, of course, there's some other non-specific, but also manufacturing, fabrication. And as I said, it's like we are, along with the city of Red Deer, we have the highest response to the tariff survey, and I think that our businesses need our help, and why not banding together and trying to find the best solution for that. And on that note, the province is sitting at the table as well through Jennifer Hardick, and she was encouraging to move forward with those things. She was very, very helpful and supportive of that. And the province is also wanting to see what we are doing and interested in the results as well, of course. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, it does. And I'm going to go back to Cape as well, because I'm on the Cape board and I haven't heard anything about this at the Cape board even since March. So I'm interested to go back to the board and find out what's going on with that and what Cape's involvement's going to be. I wonder about all these other groups too, though. Alberta Innovates, Invest Alberta, the Alberta Chamber of Commerce, Economic Developers Alberta. What are all those groups doing? It says they're stakeholders, but what do they do as stakeholders? Like, how are they involved? Can I ask that, Amanda?
So the chair, the Chamber of Alberta Chamber of Commerce, they actually also launched a survey of sorts with their memberships and with their two businesses and such. However, the Didsbury Chamber is still not properly formulated, so I could not involve them at this point in time, but they may. Tariffs also will affect our investments, so we are in touch with anybody who could potentially add on to help us with navigating those economic times.
There's one other comment in here that says, rather than respond reactively, CART is a forward-looking coalition that mobilizes collective action, advocates for regional priorities, streamlines access to timely information and resources. So where is that timely information stored and accessed, and who keeps it current?
And at this point in time, we are still trying to figure some things out. As I said, we put this together, we explored it, and I think this is, for example, where Cape could come in, and this would be something not just for the members, but also for the entire region. That's how we see it at this point in time. But Cape has not responded. They're sitting at the table, they're listening. but we at this point in time, just the communities themselves have it stored until we find the solution for that, and it's a really excellent question.
Okay, anything else? From anyone, there is a motion? Oh, go ahead.
Just that something that's free and innovative and it takes initiative. There are quick opportunities sometimes. Like I was looking for a product and I'd always gotten it out of the States and I didn't want to do that. Found one in England and it was just amazing how fast and cheap and everything. They have it all figured out. If we can switch, like be that nimble, it needs an organization that's just, we heard about this is where you can get that, and instead of having to go the usual routes. And that could be a real game changer in the business community. So I really appreciate what you're doing.
Okay, so there's a motion to approve Town of Disbury participation. Again, I struggle with this one because I think there's way many other organizations that should be doing this in mid-sized towns. I don't know can tackle the problem when it changes every day. So anyway, there's a motion and to approve, Councillor Bowser made it, approve the Town of Disbury participation in CAERT. I'll call the vote. All in favor? Opposed? So that's carried. And council reports and meeting highlights is up next. Start, Councillor Baswick.
I'm going to try to remember. It's been a while. The latest one was MPC, of course, and that was when we had, most of it was for secondary suites, which they were so thorough, planning is so thorough with that it's a matter of saying, yes, let's do that. We were out of there in, 20 minutes maybe, something like that. It was really quick. Because they are so thorough. As far as the Waste Commission goes, the biggest thing come out of there is there's some internal stuff they're doing with moving buildings and replacing the scale or relocating the scale. But the biggest thing perhaps was they paid down their packing machine to the tune of maybe $360,000. So they took operating. And that's basically what I have for that. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Go ahead. Oh, a highlight. Need a highlight. There's a highlight thing.
Highlight. I would say the stellar presentation of the RCMP. I mean, the report was so thorough and so welcoming and showing us what they're doing for our community, especially for the young people. That was very impressive, and I hope they continue doing that. But that would have been my highlight. Thank you.
She got that? Well, you got to say something too. Lisa doesn't want to say anything, I don't think. Anyway, go ahead.
So MPC, yes, that's always good. Of course, the Committee of the Whole and SPC, and the openings, I'm not sure which ones we may have reported on before, but the Creative House Gallery, what a cool idea to just open a gallery for a couple of months and have some amazing stuff in it, even if they don't want to sell them. And then Golden Maple Jewelry, she's working on a project for me already, and she just seems amazing. Mountain View Seniors Housing was today, and we went through our budget assumptions for last year with the funding that's happening. I asked them to reconsider the requisitions. We had set them at 6% increase each year, and I don't think we're going to need to do that because the fact that the LAPP, I think it is, grant was only increased 10 cents in 10 years. And then we got a $7 a day increase. And so that in itself made a huge difference. We've also paid off 6.2 mortgages. But in this year, we're paying off $6.5 million that was borrowed to do Montview Lodge, that I had something to do with when I was CAO there. And so I'm really glad to see them paid off in 15 years, even though it was higher payments in the meantime. So we're looking at the whole system. We're also looking at the possibility, we've taken on the rent subsidies for Needham County because they didn't have the structure, and we're doing such a good job we can do that, most of it online. So we're looking after that. The Jason Nixon, I think, he has put Stacy on some amazing, like the Lodge panel review. We got that today in our package, and some of the recommendations in there are pointing towards solving some of the problems we've had with the line 15,000, with the fact that in Sundre they've got a wonderful old lodge that they can't use because province built it, I think 4 inches too narrow in the middle. So they're looking at making some way to be able to redesignate that for a lower level of care or something, so you don't have to have 2 wheelchairs passing each other in the hall. Anyway, lots of stuff happening, and the report will come out, but it'll be probably just before the next meeting. So for highlight, I would say the public hearings where we are redesignating land to make it possible for people and businesses to be able to accomplish their vision for what is happening here, and the planning department, again, that enables that process so well.
What item was that, sorry?
I'm sorry, what?
What item was it? Your highlight?
Oh, it was the public hearings.
Okay.
I don't have any committees left. They've all been stopped. However, I did attend Committee of the Whole and SBC, as Councillor Moore alluded to. And on the first, I did a ribbon cutting at the Yarn Merchant and attended the art gallery. I walked through their outdoor tents, beautiful day. And on the 16th, the Didsbury Elks Parade. And I would like to thank the decorators of the truck. They did a wonderful job. And it was an enjoyable day again. It was nice weather. And that's kind of been my August. And my highlights, although Dorothy and Councillor Moore enjoyed the actual hearings, I liked the bylaws. So mine are 7.1, 2, 3, 4, or 3. 4 didn't happen.
You get 1.
Yeah, when did we get to take all 4 of everything?
Well,
We
I
used to go
don't
around
know
and say, okay, I'll
if we
take
can, just
section
try
4.
it, that's all. So I may reduce to 7.1.
We'll see what happens. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor Hunter. Water Commission, essentially, as the council knows, we have agreed to do the funding formula that for the lateral line, and so the council's aware of that, and now the town is aware of it. As far as Parkland Regional Library is concerned, they are holding a conference, a free conference in Camrose on Monday, September 15th, for anybody who would like to attend. Trustees and otherwise. RDR Mug, where we meet in a week, and we're going 2 weeks, I guess, and we're going to be doing the change to the bylaws once those are finalized. And my highlights would be 8.1, 8.2. If we're able to pick more than one. Thank you very much.
I tried to serve precedent, that's all.
She started it with all the public hearings, 3 public hearings.
But I was good.
You only picked 1. You were the best, John.
Okay, I'm going to change.
All right.
My highlights is the CAO report and the first quarter and second quarter because I asked so many questions. And I got,
Did
yeah,
you
financial.
suggest that?
She just, yeah, she beat me with the head.
I remember.
That was
Okay.
2 meetings left.
Oh, 3.
Three,
Maybe not.
nine.
So, we did present a check to the Lions bus group, to the Lions for their bus, on July 11th. We did have our meeting with the county, Amanda and I. I was at the ribbon cutting for the new jewelry store. My grandsons were with me, and they loved the jewelry, and they had to try on the rings, and they wanted to take one home, but Grandma's not going there. It's too expensive. She's not expensive, but it is for kids. Mid-Sized Town Mayor's Committee met with Minister Williams here in the Disbury Town office on July 25th. You guys got the external report on that. I think we have one tough cookie coming in with Minister Williams. So it'll be an interesting relationship, and really nice man. And Tara Sawyer was here as well, who we need to get to a council meeting here soon to introduce ourselves and her. The Creative People, ribbon cutting, Icon, plumbing, ribbon cutting. We also went to the Mid-Sized Town Mayor's Executive, which I'm the chair. I met with Minister Scott Sirr to discuss mid-sized towns issues because he's got St. Paul, Out Point, and Bonnyville as his towns, and the rest of his county, and villages and hamlets. But he invited us for a meeting right away, and that was a great meeting to introduce ourselves to more MLAs, and we just got a couple more letters from ministers, so that's great. And the parade, I got to ride in a convertible for the second time ever, so that was cool. People liked the convertible, and it wasn't mine, so I was really appreciative of setting that up. And Dean, and I never did get his last name, driving. It was a BMW convertible. So, good parade. And the highlight, I don't think that's fair that everybody took. Well, you didn't say, oh, you did say that.
I just talked about the numbers, not special.
I know.
I like my numbers.
Well, I'm glad we finally put to bed the Regional Policing Committee, because I know that they've really been bugging us to get an answer, but I say they don't even know what they're doing with committees, so why would we answer what we're doing? So we'll see where that takes us. So it will, I think, I'll be able to relay that news to, or you will, to Staff Sergeant, that we're going to form our own committee. So having said that, we have correspondent. We need a motion to accept the council reports and meeting highlights. Go ahead.
I move that council accept the council reports and meeting highlights as information.
Call the vote. All in favor? That's carried. Item 10, the correspondence and information. Letter from Minister of Municipal Affairs on the CCBF allocation. Letter from Trevor Daru, new camp commanding officer of the Alberta RCMP. And Rail Safety Week from Mike, and I can never pronounce his last name, so I'll leave it at that. Do we have a motion, or go ahead?
I'll move to accept the correspondence and information as information.
Any comments? Councillor Baswick? Councillor Windsor?
Thank you, Mayor Hunter. I think that probably it would be appropriate for you to write a letter and congratulating Mr. DeRoe. And that would be appropriate. And I think, I'm not going to try to crucify his last name either, but I think it might be reasonable to write an email to Mark as well, or a letter to respond to his notification of the Rail Safety Week. I think it would be appropriate to write those two letters. So I'm not sure how that works into this motion.
accept as information and forward letters to those.
Or it could be an motion.
Another motion, you want to make that motion and you'll make the information?
Sure.
Okay, and, okay. Oh, and last year too, we put that on the Rail Safety Week was on the website. I know Lisa did up a good, so Amanda, I don't know if that can happen, but rail safety.
Yes, I've actually saw one recently that we've already posted about, but that typically is planned each September.
Nice.
Yeah.
Which is when Rail Safety Week is, I guess, yeah. Good. So we have a motion to accept the correspondence as information. I'll call the vote. All in favor? It's carried. And a second motion.
Mayor Hunter, I'll move that council direct Mayor Hunter to respond to the letter for the appointment of Mr. Guru for the Alberta RCMP and Mr. Mark, the CPKC.
Mr. Mark P. Mark P.
Mark P. All right. With regard to rail safety.
Call the vote. All in favor? That is carried. No one stayed. We lasted them out again for a question period. So, and we'll have no closed meeting. Amanda worked hard to make sure there was nothing closed. I do have a letter I'll forward to everybody, but we didn't need to talk about it in closed. And we'll have a motion to adjourn at 9:31.
Before I do, I just want to mention something briefly. Kudos to our Public Works. My brother and sister-in-law came in from Lethbridge. The first thing they said when they hit the door, they haven't seen a town this clean. And I said, yeah, well, you're right. So they're getting it from outside, what people are seeing. So you guys are doing a good job, and thank you for that. Thank you. And with that, I'll move to adjourn.
Maybe somebody else had heard something.
I don't know.
He started something again.
Yeah, no, I'm out of here.
Yes?
Just, I want to make note that I really appreciate that administration has added the item numbers to our RFDs now.
Okay.
Really appreciate that.
See, you started something. You're welcome, right? Okay. Okay. Call the vote to adjourn. All in favor? That's carried.
We'll take more calls.
Yeah, I know, right? I'm sure there was some